longer arms. Should we get a selfie?
How do you know I've longer arms?
Hello, I'm Dan and I'm here today with Jono, and we are here at very lively Goodwin today for the Trampolining, the first televised event of Forge's coverage of Varsity, and I can't tell you how excited I am to be here.
We are so excited to be here, getting ready to go a bit late, but better late than never. So I think we're going to pass over to a commentary now. Thank you.
Sorry. Did we want to grab any of them and see if the live stream is actually happening? Because we weren't told. Okay, he's running.
We have no idea if we're live or not.
From Goodwin
Yeah.
Sports Centre for the Sheffield Varsity.
We're actually live. We can't hear each other at all. We are live and people can hear us, which is exciting. We can't hear each other, but we're going to try with it.
Yeah, we're going to do our best today. So again, we're live from Goodwin Sports Centre for the Sheffield Trampoline Varsity today. So that's Uniov versus Hallam. The first Uniov competitor has gone, and now it's up to Hallam. So this is Gabby. She's a first-year sports science student, and she used to play football before she started trampolining. So let's see her performance.
Cool. So solid start to the routine, nice and central. That's what we're looking for. If you're watching for the first time, what we're really looking for is deep shapes in those tucks, pikes, and straddles, and then straight lines for the twists and for the stretching into like seat landings, etc.
Lovely. So today the competition format is each team takes turns going up. So as you can see, they're going up one at a time. The varsity format is slightly different than the usual trampoline one. So they're only doing one routine. In trampolining, one routine consists of 10 different moves. You can't take any extra bounces in between moves. And after your 10th one, you have to stop dead and hold for 3 seconds for the judges to make sure that you've had a steady landing and then give you your scores.
Yeah, so if you're watching for the first time, basically, keep it in the middle, keep it going no matter what, and then if you finish, job's a good one. We'll go through a few more deductions in a bit closer to the time.
Absolutely.
As we go through, they will get, we'll start to see some higher jumpers, we'll start to see some more complicated skills, but we start with Newt 6, which is sort of like our novice category, if you will, and then we work our way up to people who are competing at like international level. So do stick with us for that, because that's going to be exciting as well.
For sure. So Newt 6 consists of no somersaults. So all the skills that we're going to see are again going to be different from each other, but there will be no flips, no full somersault rotation whatsoever. They're also performing sets, which means it's a prescribed routine that's been given by their league, and they're doing it best as they can. So we're going to get a little play-by-play on this routine by Chris.
Cool. So already into the start, nice high straddle. Good stretch. Again, you can see she's staying very central. That's really important for that HD score. A little bit of bend of the legs there, but it's doing okay. Towards the end, looking for a stable stop. Hold
And
that
that was
position. Good.
Really good routine for a Uniov. So we might be looking at 7s ideally from the judges, perhaps.
Yeah,
maybe the
probably.
lower end of 7s.
Yeah, we'll see. Like, obviously, it's meant to be objective scoring, but what you see in the moment can be a little tricky, particularly. I think one of the things we're looking for at this level is just a really controlled stop. Obviously, you need to show you're in control, but sometimes when you're up there for the first time ever, you get a bit nervous.
Yeah, I get a bit shaky. It's hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a bit of a weird bounce from the trampoline just from the amount of adrenaline and excitement that you have. So
Yeah. Sometimes
it can be a
people
little
just
tricky.
forget, don't they? Like,
Sorry?
Sometimes people just forget, don't they?
That's true.
They finish
Forgetting
this
your routine is
routine.
another one. So you have to perform the routine in the order that it was given to you. So it's a certain number of skills, 10, that happen one after the other, and they have to happen in that exact sequence. Otherwise, the routine gets stopped up until the point where you did it right.
Cool. So we've got another gymnast on from Hallam. We're going to sort of swap between gymnast, athlete, trampolinist. There's a lot of words for this.
Yeah,
But do you want to take
but
the
they're all mean
play-by-play?
the same thing. Yeah, absolutely. So she's stretching nice and tall into her seat drop. Good pike jump over here, and another seat drop to feet. A tuck jump, and a nice straight front drop. Now, you don't get to see that many of those, so that's pretty good. She didn't hold her landing, so that was Lydia Winter from Hallam.
Yeah. Not as popular, the front drop. It's a bit scary, isn't it? Like,
No, yeah, I'd say when you start learning it, it's definitely a daunting move. So some people prefer to do backdrops. Normally, the routines would have options in that sense. So people that prefer flipping forwards or flipping backwards or twisting or not twisting might get different routines depending on what they prefer. They normally have two options. So there's normally, at this level, we have a backdrop one and a front drop one.
yeah. So it's kind of like a set A and a set B, sort of set menus, kind of.
For sure. Yeah, actually, that's a good comparison, set menus.
So what's your favorite, front drop or back drop, Cecilia?
I would say backdrop. I'm a backdrop person.
I don't know.
What about you, Chris?
I don't know. Like, I like front drop more than back drop, but I'd rather somersault onto my back than somersault onto my front.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, but people get a bit weird about that. You always find people with like weird superstitions or like favorite moves.
True.
Okay, so we've got another competitor on from University of Sheffield. Like I said, we're going side by side. That straddle, not getting the legs quite as high, so there will be a deduction for that. But again, stay nice and central. Much better in the pike jump and the tuck jump though. Full twist, oh, not quite square, but I think they'll give it.
That was good. So that was Kathleen Simpson, a third-year law student. You can see she has a little brace around her ankle, so maybe she had a little sprain. This can happen. There's no deduction for having a little wrap around your ankle as long as it matches your skin tone. We can also see that today the teams are fully representing their universities, so they've gone full out in their club colours. So we have black and gold for uni, we have white and maroon for Hallam, a little bit of black as well sprinkled in.
Yeah. We got some face paint on as well. There
yeah.
was an eager person with
we
face
thought
paint
we'd
down
join
there.
in.
So you know what? Why not? I'm gonna look a bit weird going to Spoons after this with a face paint.
Same.
Are you leaving it on after the whole day, or
Who knows?
who knows?
We'll see. So this is Abigail Burnley. She is doing a master's in chemical engineering. Women in STEM. Good. Very tidy arms. That's another one we look for. So we want straight arms in line with the body. And that's a solid routine. She's going to be happy with that. There we go. A
You see
little
the
bit of
fist bump getting
celebration.
up. It's great, isn't it?
We love to see it.
It's one of those ones where it's like he's so nervous and then everything just sort of boils over at the end, doesn't it? Definitely.
And it's nice because you don't have a second routine in this competition. So it's one and done.
Absolutely. So, in terms of differences from a standard trampoline competition, if you've watched competitions before, obviously we've got one routine only, where it used to have set and vols. But then another difference is in terms of the scoring. So do you want to maybe talk about the scoring a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way scoring works in trampolining is you get 4 judges that look at your form and give you a score for that. Only the middle 2 judges' scores count. There's also normally a difficulty score. However, that doesn't apply here. It's just whether you did your routine right or wrong, or following the requirements. And lastly, there's a score called horizontal displacement. So that means how far away from that cross in the middle do you move? And you want to stay pretty close. You know, if you're in the center of the trampoline, that's going to be the bounciest part and the best part to, bounce on and get good skills out of. So that's a pretty important score. So you get the average of those 2 judges. Now, in this case, when a score is produced, it's going to obviously rank the competitors. So for each level, this is a mixed competition, so it's not gender segregated. Each one of the top 3 will get a score. So the first person will get a point. So the first person will get 3 points, the second person will get 2, and third will get 1. There's no points for placing lower than third, unfortunately. But that's what's going to determine who wins varsity today.
Yeah, we didn't really cover that routine, but that was Rosanna Sarsi.
From Hallam.
Yeah.
She's doing a Bachelor of Business Administration, and she's a final year.
Fantastic.
What's funny today is that first, second, and third years have actually never had a varsity.
Oh, yeah, of
So
course.
this is their first varsity. Normally it's just the freshers, but yeah. So this is Rowan,
So this will be the final routine in Newt 6.
a structural engineering student.
They've started with a half twist into straddle. So
Nice
again,
C drop.
fantastic. Really, really central here. Nice flow to the routine. Looking for a good stop at the end is important. And you can see they've competed before. They have that sort of presence of mind just to hold towards the end of the routine, which is so important because it just shows that you've ended in control, doesn't it?
Yes. I also think they have a great salute. I think a good salute just seals the deal.
Yeah.
So they definitely had a good one.
So is that the
Okay.
end of our Newt 6 competitors?
Yes, so we're gonna move on to Newt 5 in a little while. Normally we get a short warm-up. They normally call it one touch, which means you only get to go on the trampoline once, do a quick warm-up, and then get down and compete. So Newt 5 is a little bit more difficult than Newt 6. So this time we're going to start seeing somersaults. So each routine is going to have at least a front flip or a back flip in it.
So how many have we got in Newt 5? Let's have a look.
Let's have a little look. About 11 or 12 competitors from what I can
Fantastic.
see.
So it's interesting here because in Newt 6, Newt 5 are sometimes the categories where you see people who've started it when they've come to uni. So obviously it's a very technical sport. You need a lot of spatial awareness, and those things take time to develop. But we'll have people who come in and start trampolining when they come to university. And normally we see them come in at sort of like Newt 6, Newt 5, Newt 4. So we're still in the territory of people who've started trampolining quite recently.
Yes, exactly, absolutely. There's maybe some people that had a little bit of school background that would start maybe at Newt 6, 5, and 4. But normally these are absolute beginners. So it's so good to see how, you know, they come to uni and after a few months they already have 1, 2, or 3 somersaults. I think that's really impressive, and it's so good for the sport. You know,
Yeah.
it shows that it's if you put in good work, some things can be pretty achievable.
Yeah, and being able to contribute to your varsity score as a beginner isn't something that we see a lot in other sports. For example, on the team sports, like, you know, varsity points might be only like the A team or like the first team. As you can imagine, I don't play a lot of team sports, but like, I know from Manchester.
Yeah, great skill, great performance. Looking forward to seeing the results from that.
Yeah, it's good to see everyone here and a good time. It's nice atmosphere. We've got some club captains will be coming on shortly. We're speaking with them, but not for the time being.
not at the moment. We're just having a great time down here, and we hope you are too. So,
Comes to
Back to-
trampolining, especially at the highest level, we see that the men tend to have very high difficulty scores and they'll be jumping a good bit higher. But in this case, because it's just sets, so what we're looking at is very pretty routines done really, really well. I would dare say that women and men can be on pretty equal grounds.
Yeah.
Sometimes, not all the time.
I think the lack of time of flight score also helps with that.
Yes, for
So
sure.
in some competitions, most competitions that are perhaps a bit more serious, perhaps like nationals. And that
Yeah,
sort
I
of
would
level.
say, yeah. Everything that's like sanctioned by a national governing body tends to have a time of flight score.
Yeah. So the time of flight score is just how long are you in the air for.
Hi, now we're back. We've got Gabby here, and who else do we have?
Lydia.
Lydia, nice. Rosanna as well. So how are we feeling today?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, it's been good so far.
Yeah, you done your jumps yet? Did you
Yeah, we've just been.
How do you think they went?
Yeah, I think they went quite well. I think mine did anyway.
Yeah, me too. I tried my best.
Is there anyone we should look out for seeing later on? Any star performers on the Hallam team?
I think they're all pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure anyone in particular. Just yeah, they're all very good.
And who's going to be winning the varsity point today?
Hallam.
Hallam, clear. And now back to the commentary studio.
That is sort of the all universities, whereas obviously varsity today is just Sheffield Hallam versus University of Sheffield. So it'll be all sports. The trampoline competition will be in Telford, I believe.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, for sure. It's a very busy season for these teams. So I'm pretty sure they started off 2022 with with Chef Open maybe a couple of weeks back. So they had a trampoline competition 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then they had another one last weekend, one this weekend. Then they have student nationals next weekend. Then they have a student international competition in Ireland the week after. And then I'm pretty sure they have their last Newt competition. So it's a busy schedule for these guys. They're probably under a lot of stress, and they have all their assignments and all their exams coming up as well. So it's a lot of work. It's very impressive how they can balance it.
We normally fit in, 2 comps before Christmas? But
yeah,
with COVID,
normally.
I think everything just got pushed around a little bit, squeezed together.
Yeah, for sure. It's a pretty uneven split, so it definitely means that semester 2 gets pretty packed with competitions. It's also pretty difficult, kind of at any level, to stay injury-free throughout the season. So it's something that they need to really be careful of, and maybe even do a little bit of prep work in the gym or at training, just to make sure all their joints stay healthy. So yeah, it gets pretty stressful this time of the year for them.
Yeah, and then once the competitions are over, you can go back to the drawing board with your coach and start looking at what's the new skills for next year, which I think is the most, as a gymnast, that was always the most exciting time.
Hi, and we're back, and we're with the University of Sheffield team. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
I'm Kathleen, and I'm Media Secretary.
Hi, I'm Rowan. I'm a coach.
Hi, I'm Beth. I just come here.
Yeah, I'm Abby, and I'm just coming here as well.
Amazing. And how do we think that went for you guys?
I think it went really well. There's always the pressure of competitions, so you always feel like it goes better in training compared to here. But everyone said it was pretty good, and I didn't fall, so I'm happy with that.
I went up. My half twist was a bit dodgy, which threw the whole routine, but otherwise I'm happy. I did 10 moves, so we win.
Amazing.
I did not do 10 moves. I was on first, and I was so stressed when I turned around and saw everyone that I panicked, and it all went wrong. But I still think it was good overall for everyone. I did it with style and grace.
Yeah, mine went all right. I'm just happy I remembered it this time, and yeah, it was good.
Okay, great. And have we got any plans for later? Are we celebrating any?
I think we're all going out to Bar 1, and then it's off out on West Street, so that should be really good.
Okay. And is there any particular song you're going to be requesting tonight?
Black and Gold.
Black and Gold.
Go Uni of.
I love that you guys have plans. I'm going to get a burger, and then I'm going to go home and sleep.
You've earned it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and how do you think your team's doing, as a whole?
Amazing. We were the first set, so we've still got everyone to go, but everyone's so good, and as long as they do their best, we really don't mind. But we're going to beat Hallam.
They're doing so good, and half of them I've coached, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. You're doing so good. And some people, it's only like their second or third competition, so it's just great to see everyone here. I'm just happy.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm really proud of everyone. I can't wait to see everyone else get up and do their thing, because they do some good stuff. Do you want to say?
We all love trampolining. Yes. We love trampolining. Everyone should love trampolining.
And is there anything you'd like to say to the audience, or to shout out anyone that's maybe has been supporting you?
Shout out to Annie, the best captain, and yeah, I think just go Uni of, and we're going to win varsity.
And shout out to the coaches, not me, but the coaches who have coached me, like Kate and Annie and Seb, who have put so much work into actually teaching us how to bounce safely. They did great.
And
Okay.
also, I kind of want to do a shout out to my granddad. That routine was for you, who was a former professor here. So
Amazing.
that's for him.
Okay.
You guys?
Okay, that's thank you so much. Thank you for joining us, and
you.
thank you. Back to the commentators.
Because
Execution
difficulty. Sorry.
Execution there?
I would say right now I actually personally know people that did some machine learning for their final year project, and the machine's job was to identify shapes and skills. So with that, the machine at least knows what's going on. Now, because of that, the machine has been given a range in terms of like hip angle, knee angle to determine whether a shape is straight, straddle, piked, or tuck. So based on that, I would say difficulty, we're probably most of the way there. And then execution, there's probably a bit more work to do on that model. And, you know, execution does have some gray areas. So that might take a little while longer, but I would say there will still be at least a chair the judging panel, or it might just not have the same name, but someone that's supervising the machine and making sure that it's doing its job. And, you know, in the event that it fails or there's a blatant, you know, issue,
Yeah.
you should still probably have a chair the judging panel.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we might rename them tech support by that point if everyone else is a robot.
True.
But yeah, interesting. Definitely. I heard rumors actually about the camera company Fujitsu. So I think it's Fujitsu, or is it Fujifilm?
I'm not sure.
I think as a
I
Japanese.
haven't heard this.
So there was rumors that a Japanese company were looking at doing essentially computer scoring for artistic gymnastics, and that rumor was around 2020, give or take. But I haven't heard anything since in terms of like developed technically.
That's so interesting. I'd love a machine that would like set up the trampoline for me. I'm pretty sure there are trampolines that you push a button and they just set themselves up.
That sounds like it would break so easily though. Like, it would be a dream.
I
So
wouldn't want to be the person fixing it.
yeah, definitely. So if you look outside on the hall, you can see we've got 4 trampolines with mats on the sides, middles, and even on the floors if people get a bit over eager and overshoot. All of that gets set up by hand. It is an absolute pain, I think it's fair to say. It's a bit of a task. You know, if your team's practiced at it, like they are at this point in the year, it takes about, you say half an hour? Set everything up?
To set everything up.
For this hall specifically, with only 4 trampolines.
Perhaps I would say maybe a bit quicker. It depends on how many mats you're putting out as well, how thorough you are with that. I would say a good group of people might be able to do it in 15, 20 minutes if you have enough.
Yeah.
If you have about a pair per trampoline, maybe some spare people for mats and decks.
It's always a little bit tricky sometimes because like at the start of the year, you've got people who want to be helpful. But unfolding a trampoline is basically like doing origami with steel.
Yes, it's deceptively hard. I remember joining and like my first year, first of all, I wouldn't bounce on a trampoline that I had personally set up because I was like, this is going to crumble under me. And secondly, I was like, do you need like a degree in like mechanical engineering to put this up and pack it up again? Like, this is so difficult. But then it becomes second nature, so there's that.
Yeah. And then you have to explain it to someone. And once you've been setting up trampolines for 10 years, it's a bit of a task to remember exactly how you do it.
Yeah, again, some things like you might just do without even noticing. So it's hard to put it into words for people sometimes.
Yeah, definitely a skill.
Right.
It looks like we're getting closer towards starting our second group. That's Newt 5. Remember, this will be the group where we see our first somersaults, so exciting times. Either a forwards or a backwards somersault. They've got a choice of 2 routines, but we'll be excited to see that in just a bit.
At this level, beginners would normally prefer to do a front somersault. Now, front somersaults are a little bit technically difficult, I would say, than back somersaults because they're blind. You can't really see your landing all too well. Because think about it, when you go up, you flip, you grab your legs and you let go, you don't have that much of the trampoline left to look at. Whereas in a back somersault, it's a lot easier to spot, but it's very difficult to convince your brain that you're going to be fine if you go upside down over your head, backwards.
Yeah.
So there's that.
I think the front somersault is harder to land,
Yes.
and the back somersault is harder to start because it's intimidating.
Absolutely, I
definitely
fully
for
agree.
the first time.
And then once you unlock the back, normally, you're able to get your front somersaults pretty quickly. Normally get them first, but if you struggle a little bit, start getting a little bit more confident, that's what eventually brings you up a level. So a back and a front somersault.
When do they start to incorporate twists into the somersaults?
So I think this would be the level up from Newt 5, so that's Newt 4. I'm going to double check, but we get introduced to the Barani. So Baranis are a front somersault with a half turn. So do you want to elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, sure. So Baranis are one of the skills where you can actually see everything that's happening. In the air, it kind of feels sort of like a cartwheel or a ground off if you've been familiar with that gymnastics skill before. But you take off forwards, do a half twist, that's a 180-degree twist up at the top of the skill. And then that means that your landing is more similar to a backward somersault. So you can see the start and the end, which is why a lot of people prefer it once they learn it compared to the front somersault, which has that blind landing.
Absolutely. So I was actually wrong. It's Newt 3 that introduces Baranis. So we have 0 somersaults at Newt 6, then 1 at Newt 5. We have the back and the front somersault at Newt 4. And once we move up from that, we start introducing Baranis. So they can be a little bit tricky sometimes. People's bodies forget when to flip and when to twist. So that can be, a bit of an issue to sort out. But like you said, they tend to be preferred by people over front somersaults because you can spot the landing a lot easier. So
yeah, worth mentioning, of course, Cecilia coaches over in Ireland. So you have a whole other system to learn for how we split competitors into groups.
Yes, it's actually, we don't have a league, so it's kind of up to each, host to decide how they're going to split up the categories. But one thing that has been introduced this year is a 7-category competition format. So along the lines of this one here, the number of somersaults changes, again, depending on what the competition host decides to do. But I would say, looking back and looking at when we had 6 categories, both here and in Ireland, 7 categories is definitely better. Sometimes it's so hard to bridge the gap between different categories.
Yeah, and if you look at the national level, so how British gymnastics, for example, progress their gymnasts, they have even more categories than that. So they have categories where it's more regional, or I guess you could call it club or county kind of level competitions, and then your national development pathway. And they're right up to your FIG level, so that's the sort of international level. So we call it FIG. It stands for Federation International Gymnastics.
Yeah, it's also grapefruit.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. Have I ever eaten a fig?
They're very sugary.
I feel
They're
like
good
it's one of those fruits that's just passed me by.
See, if you're from the Mediterranean, you come across them a little bit more often.
Yeah, we don't have the weather to grow figs. Definitely not. Although today the weather's looking pretty good. How hot does it need to be to grow does it have to be hot? Is it a summer fruit?
Wait, do you mean?
To grow a fig, is that a
that's
summer
a good
kind
question.
of thing?
I actually don't know.
We have no idea. I have absolutely no. I don't even know what one tastes like. So.
Today we're having a clear example of what I like to call competition weather. So it's really nice while we're in the hall, and we don't know what's going to happen as soon as we get out, but we're hoping it's going to stay that way.
Yeah. It's kind of vindicating when it's raining outside and you're in the hall and you're just so glad you're doing an indoor sport. Anyway, we are starting. So our first competitor for Newt 5 from the University
Freya
of Sheffield.
Kelly.
We've got Freya. Do you want to take this?
Absolutely. So she's done a straddle jump, a nice straight seat drop, and half twist to another seat drop, half twist to feet. Pike jump. Here's the back drop, half twist to feet, tuck jump. I'm expecting a tuck front. Here we go.
Dramatic scenes there. So Freya's tuck front lands onto the end deck, and I think perhaps the end deck wasn't properly secured.
Yes.
So
it doesn't, it looks like the equipment failed, which is obviously not supposed to happen. So the coaches are likely going to double check that it's attached properly. It might be missing a pin or something that keeps it tied to the trampoline.
Yeah.
Luckily, she seems fine.
That is important.
Sometimes when this happens, actually, it's up to the chair to decide if they get a do-over. In this case, in particular, I would say she landed the front somersault. She was a little unstable after. It was a pretty good front somersault, but again, they're not easy skills to land. It's deceptively hard.
Yes.
So she bounced onto the end deck, and the end deck just collapsed from underneath her. It could be up to the chair of the judging panel to decide
I would be
if she gets
surprised.
a do-over.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they offer a do-over because she's
It happened
essentially
afterwards,
fallen
yeah.
on it before it collapses. So I would say that she was going to fall on it anyway,
I agree.
and then it collapses. Obviously, a bit concerning there. We talked about the equipment setup, didn't we?
I think so. So as you can see now, the hosts are double checking that everything is attached properly. There normally is a safety check at the start. She got her scores there. They were low 6s, which is pretty good for a fall. So here's a question for you, Chris. Would you call that out of 10 with a hole mark off, or would you call that out of 9?
I would call that out of 10 with a whole mark off based on the front somersault. The feet go down. You see that she's on her feet as she lands the front somersault. And then, unfortunately, she sort of skids forwards and belly flops the end deck a little bit.
I agree. She definitely had weight in her feet. Once she landed, she put weight on the trampoline. She could have potentially saved that, maybe if she had killed her bounce. So I would say that counts as a fully performed move. So that's, again, out of 10 with a whole mark off. This tends to split the judges sometimes, however.
Yeah.
So up next from Sheffield Hallam, we have Meg Conway. She's also doing the front somersault routine. We can tell because she started on a full twist. Some bent knees in the seat drops, but she has a good recovery here. Let's see if she lifts the front summy nice and high. That was really good.
Fantastic. So either the routine will start with a back somersault or end with a front somersault. So you can tell if it starts with that twist move, that full twist, then you know that the front somersault's coming towards the end is a bit of climactic. The other routine that starts with a back somersault is kind of anticlimactic in that way, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it finishes on just a full twist, so you don't have that apprehension of what's going to happen at the end. So I suppose this is a little bit more entertaining. But I have to say that routine, she had a very central tuck jump tuck front ending, which is rare to see. A lot of people tend to launch themselves into their front somersaults a little, so that was really nice and in the middle.
Execution there, a little bit sort of 7s, low 7s, 7-0s as well. So we'll keep track of scores, but we're not actually meant to reveal them to you. So the spirit of Varsity
it's a surprise.
It's meant to be a surprise. Yeah, so for the gymnasts, if you're very quick at maths, you can just about figure it out.
For sure. So next up we have Helena Stewart from Uni of Sheffield, a third-year psychology student.
Okay, so you can see the inbouncing here. Starting with the full twist, bring the legs up just a little bit into the straddle. Still nice and central though. So really straight legs in the seat landing moves. Pike jump touches the feet, a little bent legged in the back landing, half just the feet. Tuck jump not as tight as it could be, but the tuck front is really good and central. So very good routine there. Interesting. So the end of the routine is tuck jump, tuck front. So you see the shape jump and then the front somersault. She gets a tighter tuck in the somersault than in the shape jump.
Yeah, sometimes you do. When you feel like you really have to make it around, you hold on for dear life and you grab and you pull the knees into the shoulders, and that's a nice, real, a real tight tuck.
Yeah. So
that was a strong finish for her. For sure, a good routine. I like that she has a good bounce to her, and she seems to have good trampoline sense, and she knows where she is, and she uses the trampoline well, which is hard to find at this level.
yeah, she carries good height as well, which is going to be important if she's moving up or attempting harder skills in the future. Obviously, they're not directly rewarded for the height that they're jumping at. They're just expected to maintain the height they start at as best they can.
That would be ideal, yes. And next we have Max from Sheffield Hallam. So he also starts with the full twist. He's pretty tall, so as you can see, he's having to bounce a little bit higher. A little off in the seat drop sequence. Hopefully he gets it back. And he does. So one thing the judges look out for, and we do too, is landing on 2 feet. So a routine gets interrupted if you land on 1 foot at any point. And he had a little, he had a few close calls in there. So we're going to see if the chair, the judging panel, decides to give it to him, so give him 10 moves or not.
You can just see the chair discussing with the difficulty judges, and I think they'll be asking, was that routine complete? Was it 10 skills? And was it the correct 10 skills? So in the sort of frenzy towards the end of that routine, I think it's fair to say things got a little bit scrappy.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. He did his very best, and he should be really proud of himself for getting to the end and landing that front somersault so nicely. But, you know, the chair normally turns to the difficulty judge to see if they put their feet down. I normally actually turn to HD too, so the horizontal displacement judges are looking at the feet. So if anybody's going to know if they landed at the same time, it's probably them.
Yeah, especially as you can see, the judging table here is a little bit lower compared to the trampoline, which means that if you're looking up, it can be hard to see exactly where the feet are landing.
Absolutely. So normally judging panels are supposed to be raised so that the panel is in line with the trampoline. It's a little bit, or maybe a bit even above it, to be able to see, you know, a bit further into the distance and see if they're actually putting their feet in the right place.
Yeah, always tricky when you're on a stage. So the raised platform often is only like a meter wide, and then you've got to fit a whole table on there. I prefer judging from the floor. I feel much more secure.
It's a little bit rickety up there for sure. So next, once the judges have deliberated, which they have, we're going to get a routine from Finn from Uni of Sheffield. So he also picked the front somersault routine. I'm not really surprised because the next category up would have back and front somersaults, and if you have your back, you're likely to have your front.
Fantastic. So just like the other competitor, when you see these taller people, especially if they're new to gymnastic type sports, they often don't have that flexibility. They bring like other, you know, sporting elements if they've done other sports, like, you know, like power or, you know, sort of orientation or like coordination. But flexibility, especially, dare I say it, for the boys.
Yes, it's also harder to have. Sometimes when you have really long levers, it's so hard to, you know, get into deep shapes quickly enough because, you know, you have to have very quick muscles to pull into the right shapes at the right time. And this is where, you know, the trope of gymnasts being small and trampolinists being small too, you know, comes into play. However, Uni of Sheffield's very own Bryony Page is quite tall.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
she's doing just fine,
Oh,
I heard.
yeah, she
I
can
don't know
wrap
if
her
you
hands
heard.
around her feet easily.
Oh, yeah.
I see my feet, and they might as well be the next town over when I'm trying to touch them. But yeah, so I mean, all shapes and sizes do work at trampolining.
Absolutely.
If you're taller, perhaps it may be a slight bit harder to get that flexibility. But as you said, longer levers might mean you can, you know, generate more power when it comes to rotation.
Exactly.
So you know, I think you do see a good mix of heights and sizes. In all, even
at the top level, I would
yeah.
say you definitely do see in trampolining, but I would say the top levels are still like, it's still a pretty diverse field in terms of like whether they're a little bit taller or shorter. You know, there's no one perfect body type to do trampolining. Everybody can be trampolinist.
Yeah, just another reason to get into it. So next up, we've got Amy from University of Sheffield Hallam. Starting with the full twist routine. Straddle, much higher legs in the straddle position, so
Legs
really good
glued
form.
together.
Yeah, fantastic form here. A little bit of toe point missing, I think. The feet are a little bit flat. Bent knees coming out of the half twisted feet, but the front somersault's good. Controlled stop. Oh, so a little bit eager to turn around. Not quite the controlled stop we were looking for there.
I agree. Quite a few people are finishing up their routines and they're just so overjoyed that it's done, it's over, they've done their bit, that they forget to hold their landing. So the coaches are around there. I'm sure they're all going, please just stand still for a little bit longer and get us those extra marks that, you know, might cost you the win in the end.
Yeah, so up to a 0.3 deduction for instability at the end, and that includes just not forgetting to stop, you know? So
Absolutely.
a perfect stop would be 0 deduction, a small step or a deep squat if you hold that sort of like, you know, sort of squat position, can be 0.1, and then up to 0.3 if they're sort of dancing around on the surface of the trampoline.
Exactly. So that was about mid-sevens for her, so a good score.
Yeah, a very good score. So next up, we've got Laura from University of Sheffield. It's gone a little bit quieter. I always find that very stressful when it goes quiet. I'll take this one. So ready with the inbouncing. You've got 1 minute to start. There we go. Full twist straddle, nice and high. Legs just a tiny bit bent, a tiny bit of separation as well through that swivel hips. That's a seat to seat. Back landing, half twist to feet. The legs are a little low. It's dropped her forwards. Front somersault, and she's sat down at the end of it. So a good attempt there. just towards the end, I think she kind of shied away from the takeoff, perhaps out of nerves.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes, you know, you're getting to the end of that routine, and the backdrop half to feet can be deceptively hard, especially with the pike jump before. So once you put your feet down, you know, that tuck jump might not be ideal, it might not set you up perfectly for your tuck front. So sometimes, you know, when you go to take off for the front somersault, you say a little prayer and hope you land.
Yeah, so they'll be deliberating now. Did that somersault get all the way, fully complete the rotation and then sit down? Or was it out of 9 skills?
So come on, Chris, give us your opinion.
Oh, hard from this angle because I'm not perfectly side on. I would say that that's out of 9.
I agree.
Looking at the scores.
We're very much in sync
yeah,
today.
Looking at the scores, it seems like the execution judges have agreed with us as well. So, unfortunate finish, perhaps something to learn from though. You can't shy away from these takeoffs. There's no such thing as a timid somersault.
Okay, and next we have Hannah from Hallam. I see some nice straight bounces getting into it. She looks confident. Nice full twist. We love tidy arms in a full twist. Really tidy in the seat drop sequence as well. She's looking good. She takes off for her backdrop with her arms down, which some people prefer to do. And then a very tidy front somersault. A good performance for her. And her team is ecstatic, it seems. This is going to be a good score.
Yeah.
I would dare say mid-sevens?
Mid-sevens, possibly even
maybe a little bit higher.
Ooh, who knows? It's quite hard to commentate and judge at the same time, isn't it?
I agree, for sure.
We have a vague sort of vibe of how these routines are going. We're both judges ourselves.
There we go. So first score goes up. It's a 7-6, 7-9. So remember, only the middle scores count. So the highest and lowest are dropped.
So
didn't quite see what Judge 3 gave, but it seems we were right. So mid
yeah,
to high 7s.
We're generally right. That's why we're up here. I suppose sometimes. It'd be awkward if we're completely off a score now.
That's never a nice feeling when you're like, I'm pretty sure this is it.
So up next we've got Chakwan. He's already started with the full twist and straddle. He's taken a lot of height with him into this routine, which is good to see.
Yeah, it's a bit unusual at this level, but I like seeing a new bouncer getting comfortable with height.
Very eager into the front somersault and then landing on almost locked legs. So a little bit sort of shoulders down in the takeoff. As he's coming around, he's putting his legs out almost completely locked. Did you see at the knee? So very hard to land on locked legs. We're just pausing for photographs.
A media moment.
Landing on locked legs means that he's not actually managed to stand up at the end of that skill. But like you said, really good height through the middle section. So
yes, for sure. And he attempted a kick out in the front somersault. So kickouts will come into play a little bit later in the competition. The more height you have, the more power you have, the more time you have, the more you're going to need to actually open up out of your shapes and hit what we call a straight shape, where your body's fully laid out and tight. So like a little pencil shape. So normally, you know, this level, it's rare to see competitors attempt to kick out. They're quite new to somersaults. They don't quite line out of them yet, but it's nice to see that he attempted it.
Yeah, definitely. Other people get to pencil shape. I'm like one of those sort of like, you know, those big marker pens. But at what point do you start coaching people about kickouts then?
I would say it really depends on the person. Some people, you know, if they're already gymnasts, they might already have it in them. Some others, you know, take a little bit longer. So from Sheffield Hallam, we have Lauren Severn. She's in physiotherapy and she's newly moved up from Newt 6 to Newt 5, so congrats to her.
That's definitely an interruption, unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately she caught herself going onto one foot only. That's such a shame because it was a really nice routine, but she landed on only one foot in the backdrop, so that move is going to be discounted, and she definitely caught herself and accidentally took a straight jump in between the half to feet from the backdrop and the tuck front somersault.
So she also skipped the tuck jump itself there, didn't she?
Yeah, she fully did.
So scores would be from 7 for that gymnast, which is a bit unfortunate. We have to be very harsh on the one-legged landings. One of my old coaches used to say, you encourage what you tolerate. So here, when we take in, when we end routines for one-legged landings, it's essentially to dissuade as much as possible. Obviously, you never want to land on one leg, but by making it such a harsh penalty, it really further dissuades anyone from winging moves that they're not sure on landing securely.
That's very true. So the reason why one-legged landings are so dangerous is they could cause pretty serious injury. So we always recommend landing on 2 feet on the same surface, ideally, because obviously the trampoline surface is going to be very different than like the padding around or the mats. So 2 feet on the same surface is rule.
So this is the final competitor for the University of Sheffield. I believe it's Isabel from University of Sheffield. A little bit low, a little bit sort of bent-legged, but she's getting through it nice and centrally. And just as I've said that, again, we've got another competitor struggling with the backdrop half twister feet. I think that's the kind of recurring theme at this level.
Yes.
You think because it's got the first category with a somersault, it's going to be all about the somersault. But as we've seen, multiple gymnasts struggling with that backdrop half twister feet skill.
Yes, sometimes it's easy to get ahead of yourself and just think, before, the somersault, and, well, think too far ahead anyway. Yeah, that's so unfortunate. Fun fact about her is she is a judo black belt, so trampolining is not her only sport.
Ah, cool, fantastic. So we've got a list of fun facts. I think it's quite tricky as well to sort of get through these as well.
Absolutely.
As you can see, the competitors are really booking it today. So we've got our chair of judges, Lauren, in the green t-shirt at the far end, and I think she's motoring through these at quite a speed.
Pardon?
I think she's motoring through these at quite a speed.
Yeah,
this is a
for
faster
sure.
comp than some of the
Yeah,
ones that we've
she's
done in the
keeping
past.
it going.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
On the
So
clock.
Lauren is actually president or chair, I'm not sure what we call it anymore, Queen of Newt League. So Newt League is the Northern University League. So she's safe to say she's also been quite busy the last few weeks. So she's had to organize 3 competitions. I'm sure she's going to go to Bucks. She's here today doing, these unis a massive favor, but she loves it and it shows.
Yeah, definitely. So it used to be that the competitions were all just individually hosted, and they still are to some extent, but I think the first time they were combined into sort of like a consecutive league where scores could be added up between different competitions was probably about 2008, give or take. I think shout out to Adam Horsfall, actually founder of the Newt League. That would have been a little before my time even. So that would have been about 4 years before I went to university. Yep. Back before we even had 4x4 trampolines.
That's a while ago. So let's have a quick chat about trampolines actually. So the ones that we see today, we have a little bit of a mixed bag. So normally in a club, whether that's a regular club, a uni club, trampolines also come in all different shapes and sizes. So the more common ones would be 6x6 trampolines. So they're normally quite gentle, not very bouncy, very beginner friendly. Then 6x4s have a little bit more bounce to them. They're quite common. 5x4s I find are very uncommon trampolines.
Yeah,
what do you think?
Yeah, very rare. I don't think do Eurotramp manufacture a 5x4? I don't think.
I've bounced on a 5x4 once at a Unicomp.
Yeah.
Hi, now I'm Dan back again. So who we got here?
Finn.
Finn.
Helena.
Chuck.
I'm Freya. Izzy.
How's Varsity going so far? How's our routines been?
It's going good, yeah.
Going good?
Having
yeah?
fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Were you all happy, Freya? What happened?
Yeah, I kind of messed up my last move. I landed heavy on my left leg in the tuck and pinged myself across the bed, and unfortunately the end deck wasn't attached properly, so I went down and took the end deck with me.
It was a great ending to a memorable routine. We got who drew that? Did one of you do that?
It wasn't me.
No, not you. Not the
can't
artistic
say.
one. So you got any plans to celebrate tonight?
Go to bar one.
To go to bar one. Why not? Best way to do it.
I think people are going to West Street as well.
To West Street as well.
Classic.
Yes. Celebrate. Right, and now back to the studio.
That is better than the ultimate, but it's never ever used international competitions, and that's the Super Tramp.
Yes. So what's the worst trampoline you've ever jumped on? Like a garden trampoline, like a half inch, like an 80s trampoline?
Oh, I've been on a half inch. That was pretty awful. I wouldn't even count garden trampolines. No shade, but C-Tex beds, not my favorite.
Yeah.
I've bounced on one once, and it was rough. It was traumatizing. And then another type of trampoline bed that's quite unusual, but I've bounced on, And I kind of like it. It's good for, say, the likes of body landings and all that. Are string beds, Canadian string beds.
Yeah. So
Have you ever bounced on one?
I think I have. We're going back a long time now. I feel like.
Hi, and we are back with the Sheffield Hallam team. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Lauren.
I'm Hannah.
I'm Amy.
I'm Max.
And how do you think that went today?
We've had a great turnout from all of our competitors, and so far they've all done really well. And hats off to Uniov as well, they're doing amazing, so it's going good from my view. Anyone want to add?
I'd say the same thing.
Yeah, I didn't do very well, and I'll admit that. But next time we'll do much better. We'll do much better next time. I'm sure everyone else will do much better than I did. Yeah.
And have you got any plans for later to celebrate?
So we've got a section at Revs, our sponsor. We're going to go and have a nice meal, whether that's to celebrate or commiserate. It should be fun regardless. And then I think a few were off out on West Street.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And would you like to say anything to shout out anyone or say anything to the audience?
Our coaches, definitely.
Oh yeah, we've got to give a big shout out to all of our coaches and everyone that's helped coach, whether they've been there employed to coach or not. So big shout out to our main ones. We've got Ant and Michael and Matt on occasion. They've been amazing, and we wouldn't be where we are now if we didn't have their training.
Great. And if anyone's watching today and they've not seen the sport before and they want to get involved, what would you say to them? How would you get involved?
Give it a go. I met someone randomly, never done it before, and it's one of my favourite things to do now. Forgot to also mention, big shout out to our chair, Dara, wherever she is. She's been amazing, helping encourage everyone to be the best that they can.
That's great. Amazing. And how do you think your team is doing, the rest of your team?
Great. Oh yeah, they're
Definitely great.
yeah, they're all smashing it. They're all giving it their all, and that's all we can ask from them.
Amazing. Is there any other sports you're going to be viewing, any other varsity events that you're going to go to?
Personally myself, I went and viewed the downhill cycling race yesterday, and I've got the ice hockey tickets booked. Anyone else going to view anything?
Ice hockey, and then one of our competitors is doing badminton later, so I might go see that. Yeah.
Amazing. Great. Yeah. And was there anything in your performance that you would like to have improved on if you were to do it again?
Not land on one foot, that would be a great one. Your routine gets stopped. But other than that, I mean, it's a nervous situation. You've got all eyes on you. But I think everyone's done amazing, and I can't fault myself or anyone. We've tried our best, that's all you can ask.
Of course.
Yeah, just make sure I do more than 4 skills next time, which would be good. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Thank you, amazing. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We're passing it back to the commentators now.
Tactical. Absolutely tactical.
Exactly.
I love it. So next up, we've gone through Newt 6 and Newt 5, which means we're going to be on to Newt 4. This is a smaller category. We've only got 6 people competing so far.
It's mostly uni of competitors, so they're going to be showing us a couple of somersaults each. So in this routines, we can see people training, their back somersaults, their front somersaults. There might be some backdrops. We've seen some nice half twist to front drops, which is a tricky skill.
I'm excited to see the form on this. So looking at our little fact sheet that we've got in front of us, we've got someone who's done gymnastics before. We've got someone who's danced, like Irish danced before as well. So we're looking for really clean lines from those two, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting. It will be fun to see how this plays out.
I'm always impressed by medics. So whenever you see someone doing medicine and also sport, I'm like, how do you have time for this?
Yeah,
how do you manage the work-life balance of that?
It's like living a double life.
So we're still in a general warm-up phase at the moment. So as things are sort of like, I guess, sort of ticking over slowly, is there anything else in particular. I think we might even be cutting to. We've got one person with a microphone who's sort of running about, maybe to do some interviews. I don't know if that's going to happen later, or perhaps now would be a good time to fit one of those in if anyone's listening. We've got a lot of technical people here. I'm not sure if anyone's actually listening to what we're saying.
There. You made a good point earlier about kickouts. So, when do you start teaching kickouts? Because we've seen quite a few here. I've seen a few people line out of tuckbacks or line out of, brownies if they're warming them up. It is to be noted that a few people here have a straight back, for example. So if you have a straight back, you have enough power to line out of a tuck back. So, that's a good place to start.
I would say you can teach kickouts anywhere after, like, tuck front and tuck back, but definitely before Barani skills.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I fully agree with that.
But where it depends on the gymnasts. Some gymnasts, as you teach them, as you coach them, if you give them extra stuff to think about, they'll melt. Absolutely melt. So
True.
You kind of have to go by each individual gymnast and how well you feel like they're multitasking with what you've already given them.
That's very true. You don't want to overwhelm anybody with information.
Yeah. There's so much to think about up there, and so little time to do the thinking. Definitely worth thinking of mind.
Yes.
I can see people are warming up on multiple trampolines here. Do we know why we've got people warming up on the left beds? Is that going to be...
I think that's warm-ups for Newt 3. I've seen a few brownies there, and we don't have them in Newt 4. So that's likely why. They might be getting just a little early warm-up, or maybe
So if they merged Newt 4 and Newt 3 warm-ups?
They might have. I'm not entirely sure, but it does look like a few got up. So we have pretty much an equal amount of Hallam and Uni competitors in Newt 4, and it seems like we have a few more Uni of competitors in Newt 3 and 2. So it will be interesting to see how this plays out for them.
So remember, for varsity reasons, the scores are essentially almost meaningless in a way. What's important here is the ranking of gymnasts. So if you come first in your category, you win 3 points for your university. Second in your category will win 2 points for your university, and then third will win 1 point for the university. So being able to have a good spread of competitors competing in each category is going to be really useful in terms of winning the varsity overall. So we've got scores coming up, but I don't think we're allowed to tell you them yet.
Not really.
The spirit of competition,
I
we keep
got
it
a little,
under our hats.
nosy.
I have never seen this many cables in one place in my life. I didn't realize how many cables it takes to put on one of these sort of things.
Yeah, it's definitely a tight competition so far.
Yeah, so we can see, we won't tell you the scores, but we'll tell you that first, second and third are within about 0.1, 0.2, give or take. Very tight. Very close marking, definitely, between the judges.
Yeah, I mean, I like when the judges are, consistent. If you're a little higher, a little lower, it's fine as long as you're consistent. And they seem to be doing their job really well today.
So we've got a lot of judges here from other places as well. You can see on a few purple hoodies on the panel, so that would be from Manchester and from Loughborough. Our chair of judges is from Nottingham.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Do we have any Sheffield or Sheffield Hallam judges?
No, so what they normally do at these competitions is they don't involve judges from either club to keep it as impartial as possible. I think sometimes some people do horizontal displacement because, there's not a lot of bias in that. It's very factual, whereas like the likes of form, like I said, there can be several shades of grey. We have a judge from Ireland today as well.
Of course.
Just keeping it international. It seems like we're getting ready to start Newt 4, so that's exciting.
Cool. So we're starting off with Janvi from University of Sheffield. I'm just stand up because we can't actually see the trampolines from where we're at. We've got a desk that's on the balcony. And I said I didn't mind standing, but my back is slowly deteriorating over the course of today.
Same. My
I
hip flexors are not the same. So the unis are now chanting. This is going to be fun.
Yep. So ready to start. Judges are watching. We've had the presentation, the salute. Gymnast has 1 minute to start the routine. Starting with the tuck back into nice wide straddle jump, really showing off flexibility there. Really tight lines, good pointed toes. A little bit of a bend knee in the backdrop, but controlled in the half twist to feet. Finishing with a pike front somersault and then a nice controlled stop.
She's delighted, and she should be. That was so good. She's got such good tension, you know. You don't want to be too tense, but you don't want to be rigid, you know. But you want to get good tension so you get the most out of the bed, and she definitely has that. And also, that gives you such sharp lines and shapes.
I think her ankle flexibility is also really impressive. Like, her toe point is actually really good. When you see people point their toes, it sounds like silly, but like if you just take your shoes off now, if you're listening to this, kick your shoes off and see how far you can actually point your feet. Harder than it looks to get a straight line between your shin bone and the top of your foot. A lot of people can't actually manage that at first.
Yeah, it's deceptively hard. You need very good mobility in trampolining as well as flexibility. So mobile joints and really long stretched muscles. So next we have Layla from Hallam. She's a first-year sports and exercise science student. Starts with a nice high tuck back, lines out of the straddle. Really neat into the seat drop sequence. So this is a pretty similar routine to the ones we saw before, but we do a tuck back at the start instead of a full twist. Nice pike front. I love a good pike front.
Yeah, that was fantastic, wasn't it?
Really good. The only thing, if I'm really nitpicking, a kick out of that tuck back would have really sealed the deal for her.
Yeah. The one thing I was going to pick is actually the tuck jump. So one of the simpler moves, we can see the hands aren't quite grabbing at the shins, like you said earlier.
This is a favorite of yours, I have to say. You're always giving out to people. Yeah,
when people grab the, so when you tuck for a somersault, you hold on for dear life. But that also means sometimes when you're just doing a tuck jump and you're not somersaulting, people can be a bit casual about it, I suppose is the way.
That's true. Yeah, you get a bit more relaxed.
So again, we've got another University of Hallam student jumping on now. This will be, is this Bethan? So starting with a tuck back, a little bit lower with the straddle, nice high, really straight line showing off through the swivel hips, half twist to feet. Pike jump, good again. Backdrop, a little bit of a bend in the knees, a little bit over into the half twist to feet. Tuck is good. Pike front, you can see she splits the legs slightly as she lets go.
Ever so slightly, yes.
Yeah, just a little bit wide.
That's interesting to see.
Okay, so she's just split the legs a little bit on the pike front, which will be a deduction. But other than that, very good, very secure.
Yeah, she actually used to be a gymnast before uni, so this might be why she did the split leg. You know, sometimes you get people that do beam-like landing on trampoline, so with the one foot slightly in front of the other, or that step out of their landings a little bit. I wouldn't advise that for trampolining, but you know, all habits die hard.
Yeah, definitely. So if that's Bethan, next up we must have Tegan from University of Sheffield.
Perfect. Getting a few good bounces in for her routine, and then nice tuck back straddle. Really good routine so far. Keeping good tension. I like the line out in the pike. Slight bend in the knees for the backdrop, and then nice front somersault. She lands right in the middle.
Fantastic. Well done, Tegan.
So if I'm not mistaken, she Irish danced at World Championships, which is pretty impressive. And now, you know, she's doing something completely different. So,
that sounds so cool. I can't dance at all. Can you dance?
I lived in Ireland for maybe less.
You've never
5 or 6
mentioned
years, and and I have never even attempted Irish dancing. So there might be an issue there with the landing. I see them reenacting something. So it looks like they gave her 10 moves though, so it should all be good.
So the rule is you have to land with both feet at the same time. If they're a little bit split, as in stepped forwards front to back, it can be a bit harder to see that they're landing at exactly the same time. But as long as they do touch the surface of the trampoline at the same time, you do still get it marked out of 10 moves. So it looks like from the scores, that's been given out of 10 moves. We're moving on again. So on to our
Teresa
last, our last competitor from Sheffield Hallam. She's actually been national schools champion. So starting the routine with the tuck back straddle. Again, moving well through the swivel hips. You can see there's really, really good lines. Nice and high. Really good line out of the half twist of feet. The pike front, not quite as deep a pike shape and a little bit of travel forwards, but really, really good lines on the legs there.
And that might just be the best routine we've seen today so far. And it only gets better from here. So.
Definitely. So we'll have some more somersaults, more exciting stuff coming up soon. So that is the end of our Newt 4 competition. Roughly that puts us about halfway, give or take.
Exactly, yeah. We've had 3 categories so far, but they tend to be the fuller ones because, you know, they're the beginner ones. And we should start Newt 3 any second now.
Cool.
So Newt 3, just a reminder, we've gone from 0, 1, then 2 somersaults, and then Newt 3 would be 3 somersaults. So what the competitors are going to show us today is a mix of front and back somersaults and sometimes twists. So we might see some straight back, so a laid out back somersault like so. We might see some brownies, so again, like so. Excellent brownie, by the way.
It's almost like he got on and was ready to talk exactly as you were talking through.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
I got to thank him later.
Do you think the judges panel will move, or do you reckon they'll just stay there?
It looks like they're set up to go on either panel.
Yeah.
I would be very surprised if they didn't move over to the other side, seeing as they seem to have, you know, the bigger index, which are more elite friendly. The better trampoline, so they have the ultimate in that corner closer to the judging panel. I'm assuming that's a 4x4 on the other side. So those tend to be the bouncier trampolines. Again, you don't want to be super bouncy if it's your first time competing or if your first year competing. It might throw you off a little. But these guys, they know how to somersault. We see a nice pike back here, for example. So they like the bounce. They need the extra bit of, you know, elasticity of the bed to get the most out of their routine.
I think it's interesting that the Hallam students have almost exclusively picked the other trampoline. So in Newt 3, we've actually only got 1 Hallam student. So a lot of pressure there if you're the only person representing your university in the category.
Yeah, it's all about the mental games. But I can guarantee once we get to the likes of Newt 2, 1, and Elite, we'll see everybody crowding around the ultimate because it is, you know, ultimately the better trampoline.
There we go. And hopefully it's been put together properly. I'm always a little bit sort of like cautious when I see an end deck collapse.
Yes.
Doesn't happen often, does it?
True.
We've got a presentation on the Hallam bed over there. So we've got a student, she's just presented pike back start. So a nice shape in the pike back. Nice and central. That half twist to front we've not seen before today. And then finishing with
Pike
the
brownie.
front somersault with the half twist, so that's the Barani.
Excellent.
So they've pulled a bit of a trick on us and put them out of order. Possibly, if that's Elizabeth from Sheffield Hallam, it's because she's the only one using that bed.
Yes. So this is the only Hallam competitor for this category. So likely Uni will take at the very least 3 points.
Yes.
In this event, if not more.
The fun fact is she's amazing at crazy golf.
I love that.
I love it.
So she seems to be getting low 7s for that routine.
The judges look like they're ready to move over to the other panel.
Oh, it might just be why she went first. So everybody else might have chosen the bed on this side. So the judges have judged that routine first to avoid going back and forth.
Yeah. And then once they're over here, they'll probably stay over here for the rest of the day, actually.
I presume so. I'd be very surprised if anyone that has, you know, 3, 5, 7, 9 somersaults in their routine will want to bounce on the less bouncy beds. Of course, no judgment, but it's just unlikely.
So it looks like we're back to our regular sort of our regular programming, if you will. This will be Adam from University of Sheffield.
He was second in Newt 3 at Chef Open. So again, Chef Open was only 2 or 3 weeks ago. Newt 3 is this very same category, so he might be a favorite for the win or for a medal.
Yeah, it's a good confidence builder if you know you've already completed this routine in competition. You feel like you practiced it.
Absolutely.
Just feel like you've got one under your belt.
Yeah, and his home club is Apollo. That's in Newcastle, isn't it?
Yes, it's actually home to Cat Driscoll. So that's a club that's had
That's a good club.
Olympians before.
For sure.
So definitely.
And his degree is in mechanical engineering. He starts off with a nice straight back straddle. Lovely tuck brownie, good kick out. Holds the shape for the half twist. Neat pike jump, backdrop. Loses the knees just a little. Good tuck jump and a lovely tuck front. Doing his club justice.
Yeah, absolutely. So at this category, you're starting to see people who've done trampolining before coming to university. So they'll be listing the home clubs or where they've jumped beforehand for us to sort of drop into the conversation. As I said, Apollo up in Newcastle has actually raised quite a few distinguished trampolinists. Obviously, the most notable would be Cat Driscoll, Olympian.
Yes.
But I think they've had a few others go to World Cups and Europeans
Yes.
in the past. It's always good when you've got a coach who's been there, seen it, done it all.
Yeah, absolutely. It gives you that extra bit of confidence. And Cat Driscoll was a 2016 Olympic finalist alongside Bryony Page. So it's all coming back full circle.
Yep. I mean, a lot of gymnasts for trampoline certainly will sort of grow to like a peak, sort of late 20s even, because it's so much more technical than it is physical. Like, obviously it's still a physical sport.
Yeah, so much of it is mental.
Yeah, so much of it is like just preparation, spatial awareness, all that sort of stuff. So definitely, if you're 18 now, you can start now and you can still make it up to like the highest levels of competition by the time you're sort of like mid-20s, give or take. So
Yeah,
if you're coming to a sport late, it's definitely one that's still on the table, isn't it?
Yeah, and I would say people that stay in the sport a while or that train when they're a little bit older, they train smarter. They might not train as hard as they did when they were younger, but they train a little bit smarter and they kind of like make sure that every go counts. And that they're 100% focused. So it's a little bit less about repetition because at this point they tend to have all the skills. It's a little bit more about picking and choosing, what's best for your body.
Cool. So up next we've got Grace from University of Sheffield. Her fun fact is she's got a hamster named Cody, actually after a trampoline move. So we won't be seeing a Cody from her, but a Cody is a somersault off that front landing position. So
Grace is the treasurer of the University of Sheffield Trampoline Club.
Okay, starting with the pike back, nice and high, good into the straddle. Now into the next somersault, which is a tuck back, a little bit failing to kick out there. Half twist, tuck jump, not quite getting the contact, but nice and floating into the half twist to front. Good straight lines on the way back up to the feet. Finishing with the pike barani, really, really central towards that second half of the routine. So I think what I really liked about that routine was the half twist to front landing.
Yes, you so rarely see a good half twist to front, and there's such an important move, and she does it so nicely. I have personally seen Grace compete even better than this, but that was a solid routine for her.
Yeah.
Again, she's got good shapes, she's got kickouts, she's got bounce. Those are all the things that you're looking for, so she should be happy with that.
Yeah, so highlights, half just to front drop and to feet.
Yes.
Things to work on, maybe just the kickouts a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic.
So we're on to our last competitor of the day for Newt 3. So this is Zoe from Uni of Sheffield.
So this is a small group, it's gone pretty fast.
I like it, nice and efficient.
Yep.
Hallam are taking the team photo over there. They're done with this category.
Exciting.
Okay, and she opens with a straight back, tiny bit of an arch, but lovely straddle. Tuck brownie, nice and neat. It's gone really quiet in the hall right now, which is always nerve-wracking. Lovely backdrop. And finishes on a nice tuck front. We've seen far more secure tuck fronts in this category, which is kind of what sets them apart from the likes of Newt 4 sometimes and Newt 5. They're still a little bit uncertain about, how are they going to land that front somersault? Where is it going to land? Whereas these guys are looking a little bit more confident. They've obviously done far more front somersaults and grannies and back somersaults, so they know exactly where they're going to land. So that was a a very good category.
Yeah,
Good
really,
performances
I feel
from
like
everybody.
everyone could be quite happy with their performance in that category. Like we said, it is dominated by the University of Sheffield students. So that would be very helpful for them in terms of securing the varsity for trampolining.
Yes.
Again, next up we've got Newt 2. So that again is another step up. We've actually only got 3 competitors in Newt 2, and they're all from University of Sheffield. So sort of a formality in terms of like the uni to uni competition, but they'll still be looking to put on a good show for us, and you know, get another routine under their belt before going on to the other competitions throughout the year.
Absolutely. So we only have, again, only 3 competitors in this category, and then we'll move on to Newt 1. It looks like Newt 1 are warming up, so we're going to get kind of a longer warm-up, and then Newt 2 and Newt 1 kind of back-to-back. And then we'll leave some space for Newt Elite, which is arguably the most exciting category of the day.
So just as they're warming up, what would you say is your most favourite?
Hi, and we're back, and we're with the Uni of team now after an amazing set. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Zoe. I'm a second year.
I'm Tegan, and I'm a second-year speech and language therapist student.
Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm a first-year student.
Amazing. And how do you feel like that went today?
Well, it was a lot of fun to compete again. It's great to see all the support.
It wasn't my greatest routine, but it was still a lot of fun. It was really nice being able to trampoline with everyone.
I thoroughly enjoyed, and I now feel ill.
Amazing. And how are you planning on celebrating tonight?
Win or lose, or I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
I mean...
Win or lose, we're on the booze. Is that allowed on Forge TV? Win or lose, we're on the booze.
Yep.
Probably getting quite drunk.
I'm probably just going to go to sleep.
I mean, fair enough. I feel like we're all there. And if you were to give any advice to anyone watching the stream, never done trampolining before, trying to get into the sport, what would you say to them?
Honestly, just give it a go. It's probably my favourite sport. I fell in love with it. I'm sure you will too.
It's so easy to get started on it. Anyone can do it, from people who have never even touched a trampoline before, and it's really easy to pick up the skills.
That, and also we're the nicest club out of all the sports teams, so we're really nice and welcoming.
Some big statements there.
I think it's a true one.
Amazing. And how do you think the rest of your team's doing?
Everyone is doing fantastic. We're having some brilliant routines coming out, and everyone's having fun, which is what matters.
Everyone's absolutely smashing it, and we're all being so supportive of each other, which makes it such a nice environment.
Yeah, I can't really add any more, but they're all doing really well.
And would you like to give a shout out to anyone, any special people that you want to give a shout out to?
I've got no one. I'll pass it over to you guys.
If my brother's still watching, hello.
Shout out to the ultras over there. They're not going to wave, but the ultras are there, and that's all that counts.
Okay. And have we got any other plans for Varsity? Like, are we going to go see anything else? Got tickets?
Ice hockey final.
Oh.
We'll be there. Big night coming.
Yeah, just ice hockey. Great time.
Ice hockey.
Yeah.
And will you be at the Varsity? But like the Raw Varsity? Yeah.
Probably.
Okay. Amazing.
Right.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything about today? Anything you would have improved on today?
Probably wouldn't good if I remember my routine, but you know that would have been good.
Okay. Thank you so much, and we're going to go back to the commentators now.
Thanks.
So 3/4 somersaults is when you don't do a full rotation, as you can tell. So it's 270 degrees landing on either front or back. So the front landing and the back landing aspect that we looked at the very start is actually really important. This might sound like a cliche, but the basics are so important. They come back to haunt you in the later categories if you don't get them right.
Do you find yourself haunted by these techniques?
Sometimes. So obviously a good crash dive, so a good 3/4 front, has kind of a front drop takeoff with a little bit more power, but then ends in a backdrop landing. So you want to master both really before you move on to this level, ideally.
Yeah.
So that's the three-quarter front. The three-quarter back starts more like a backwards somersault or an overpowered backdrop and lands on the front. So that's what we're going to see in Newt 2. We're also going to see some linking for the first time. So we're going to link somersaults, the likes of pike back pike brownie, for example, or tuck back tuck brownie. So we're going to see 5 somersaults in this category. And in the next one, which is Newt 1, we're going to see 7.
Exciting times. So we're seeing our first consecutive somersaults here. I'm talking into Newt 1, including also the full and the Grudy. So when we get to the higher categories, we'll also be seeing somersaults with more twist. So we've already seen Barani, that's your somersault with half a twist or a 180 degree of twist. But as we move up the scale, we're going to start seeing somersaults with a full twist, so that's a 360, or a 1.5 twist, so maths is hard, 540? Yes, 540 degrees of twist. Increments of twist are in halves for trampolinists. So it means you're always going to be landing facing one of the mats for safety. And generally we're looking for a complete sort of increment. So a quarter twist will sometimes cause your routine to be interrupted. Also, it means you're facing the wrong way, so that's not a good shout.
No.
Not very safe.
Absolutely. So yeah, Newt 1 can be really interesting because you just get to make up your own routine. So you just pick the skills that best suit your ability, which is fun.
Here's where we start to see the sort of dichotomy between picking hard skills that are rewarded well versus picking easier skills that aren't going to attract any difficulty bonus, but will attract a good execution score. So it's style versus difficulty to some extent.
That's
Both
a good way to put it. I see some nice tidy warm-ups. Makes me excited to see what these guys have in store for us.
We're seeing good height as well, aren't we?
Yes, for
So
sure.
people are kind of bouncing to almost level with like our balcony now, actually. Gonna be a bit awkward if we make eye contact while we're commentating their routines.
So have we talked about Cody's and ball outs?
So we've mentioned briefly. So we had Grace, who named a hamster after the move Cody, but
Yeah.
Cody's and ball outs, the somersaults coming off the body landings. So you can somersault onto your back or front, but then the return jump, if you will, the rebound off that can also contain a somersault. So 3/4 forwards, leading to the back, was then often followed at the higher levels with a ball out. So that's a somersault off the back. So it's a 1.25 somersault. And the same applies in reverse. So a 3/4 somersault backwards, landing on the front, sort of splayed out on your sort of like belly flop position, can then be pushed off for another 1.25 somersault. So ball out, somersault off the back, and Cody, somersault off the front. If you're getting really spicy, you can combine your twist skills with your ball outs and Cody's.
I think we might see some of that maybe at the elite level, but today I think we'll be keeping it pretty standard. Normally, you know, when it's just sets, people want to go for a safe, good set that they can do. And they're looking good so far.
Yeah. So I guess the one exception to that would be the Barani ball out. So normally, if you want to see where you're going in a forward skill, you're going to need to twist it at some point to avoid that blind spot. So the Barani ball out, or ball out Barani, as it's sort of been termed nowadays, is a somersault off the back, going over, and as you're going over forwards for that somersault, you twist in the air, a 180-degree twist. So it's like a Barani, but it's a little bit further around because instead of starting on the feet, we're starting on the back. I don't think we'll see any twisting Cody's there today.
I would love to see one, but I don't think we'll get any. There's definitely people here that can do it, but it's a very unusual choice, as you mentioned.
It's very hard to get a really good form score on a twisting Cody as well. There's so much to think about.
Yeah.
You've already got the backwards skill, so you can already see what you're doing. So there's no real advantage when you compare twisting
True.
Cody to twisting ball out.
So we actually see quite a few transfers or, you know, quite a few student trampolinists that used to go to a different uni and maybe they've graduated and now they're doing their masters at either Hallam or Uni of Sheffield. So that's fun to see. You know, they've competed for different teams, they've made different groups of friends in trampolining, they've stuck around, so that's always good to see. I love to see a familiar face at a competition.
Oh yeah, it's good. Also, by the time you're in 4th year, like, you feel so comfortable.
Yeah.
You're ready to sort of step up your difficulty. So I think we'll go through all the Newts. Have we done Newt 2? No, we're on to Newt 1 now, aren't we? Yes.
We're getting some more Newt 1 warm-ups in, as well as Newt 2.
So we are starting to see a few other skills as well. I think tuck back to seat might be a new one for this category, for Newt 2.
Yeah, tuck back to seat is normally performed from, I would say, the likes of Newt 3 and up. People tend to stop doing it once they get to, again, the likes of Newt 2 and Newt 1, because it's really, you can't really link anything after, you know? And it doesn't really give you a break like a shape jump would.
Yeah.
So they're a little bit tricky to throw in, but some people can do them to perfection. So, you know, why not put it in if it's like a 0 or 1?
Yeah. So the skill we're talking about, we'll probably see again in just a bit, and we'll point it out to you. But a backward somersault, where towards the end of the backward somersault, you put your feet in front of you into that seat landing position, so landing on your butt, basically. So again, it's a case of the basics coming back to haunt you, as you said.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. They always come back. This is why you have to train them often, and keep in mind that that's how all of your somersaults, landing and takeoffs develop.
Definitely. I've been looking for another tuck back to seat to point it out to people who are watching the live stream, but I haven't seen another one since. This, the lady on the far bed, perhaps, maybe? Nope. When you're looking for a particular skill, you never find it, do you? If you're chairing a competition and you want to say, oh, let's look at a twisting skill just to check your judges are good at judging twists or rudies, then as soon as you start looking for a particular skill, everyone stops doing it. Do you find that often?
I suppose, yeah. I can see what you mean, yeah.
Oh, you're not often searching.
If you're like judging a prescribed routine, normally I feel like what happens is you're like, oh, okay, I know that this skill is gonna happen, and they stop right before, and all the judges are like, well, oh, it happens.
And you practice judging to make sure your judges are sort of like not just competent, but also like
aligned,
refreshed.
Yeah, not just that. I mean, you also want your panel. So the 4 judges that give out the form score, so the execution score, they should never really be more than 0.5 apart. If you want to hear my opinion, they should never really be more than 0.3 apart.
I think it really depends. So obviously the judges are all judging from their own perspectives, like slightly different positions. But at the highest levels, I'd agree, 0.3, 0.5 differences, so like quite a large variation in scores. But that's because gymnasts are doing something with maybe one mistake in it. Where gymnasts are doing something with multiple deductions, and each deduction is kind of borderline, I think that's where the larger variation between judges comes in.
That is very true. Yes, absolutely. I feel like, you know, when you're judging, again, different shades of grey, even if you watch a routine in slow motion, sometimes you might find yourself coming up with 3 or 4 different scores, because some things, like you said, are very borderline. Was that kick out, you know, exactly at 12 o'clock? So when we say 12 on the clock, we mean when their head is down, their feet are up, so they're completely upside down. How straight their body is. There's different, you know, hip and knee angles to look at. And it all happens so quickly, and they have to produce a score immediately. So it's pretty hard.
Yeah, definitely. I think the first time you judge, it's really stressful. You feel like you're holding everyone up. But you do slowly get faster at, like, you know, like almost judging on instinct in a way. But so many different things to take for deductions. Important to sort of like keep up with it as it's happening. But,
absolutely.
So the judges don't get the benefit of a replay system. They'll see it once, and they're expected to judge as it happens. The only caveat to that is if there is sometimes a challenge about the difficulty or a challenge about a particular move, then they can go back and consult a video analysis. But that's only really for the chair and the difficulty judge to do. And even here, I don't think we've got a video recording going, other than the live stream. Can you imagine taking the live stream up to... so occasionally I've had gymnasts come over to me with someone filmed it in the crowd, and they bring a phone over and they're like, wait, look at this.
Yeah, you're supposed to do it kind of like at the end of the flight, if I'm not mistaken. So if you're a coach that's responsible for that gymnast and soon to be qualified, you go up to the chair of the judging panel, and if you think something's not quite right, you bring it up with them. Obviously, depending on how official the competition is, this requires more or less paperwork.
Yeah. But even at the Olympics, you still see people questioning tariffs and, raising these sort of things. Nobody's infallible until we're all replaced with computers.
Very true. We still allow for human error, but that's why we're being replaced by machines.
Yes. It's also why we've got multiple judges. So, someone will be right.
Yeah, most likely. It looks like we're ready to start.
Fantastic. So you see the mood sort of just slightly shifted in the hall. I think
this is another warm-up.
This is another warm-up. You can normally tell by looking at the judges if
they're attentive.
Yeah, if the judges are paying attention, it's for real. Other than that, honestly, it's quite hard to tell sometimes, because obviously they're still practicing the exact same routine.
Absolutely.
So we've got Kate warming up on the near bed to us from University of Sheffield. She's actually, I think, head coach for University of Sheffield as well.
Yeah, she has been for about 3 years, which is a lot of work, and she's a medicine student. So, a busy girl.
Busy, very busy. So, still working through the warm-ups here. We'll let you know when we're getting on to the proper competitions. In terms of if you're watching this as a parent, things to watch for is essentially the salute. So that's the only thing that really tells you that it's going to be a proper competition routine as opposed to warm-up. So that's where gymnasts will face the judges and sort of wave, I guess, or sort of present. How would you describe a present to someone who's never seen it?
Salute? I'm not sure. So, I mean, there's different ways of doing it. So the men normally only put one arm up their side. Women normally do 2 arms, or one up, one down, one halfway, one up. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. Exactly. And you can, that's pretty much it.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone do a military salute, but I might do that to next year's freshers and just pretend that's how salutes. Because I'll just call it salute, and then that might be a good prank for September. So
yeah. I mean, there's no deduction for saluting wrong.
Yeah.
As long as you look at the judges, maybe give them a little smirk. That's it. You're good to go. I like smiling when I salute at the end and at the start, regardless of the train wreck of the routine that I've just performed.
I like the little bow people do sometimes. So in international competitions, sometimes they won't even wave. They just do like this.
I like it,
sort
like
of
a head nod.
Bows.
Yes, I like it.
Yeah. You do feel a bit daft saluting sometimes, you salute and people aren't watching and you're just like, ah.
Yeah, sometimes you're just too worried about your routine to take time to salute. You just want to get stuck into it.
Sometimes the judges are too worried about doing the maths fast to watch the end salute as well.
Okay, so it looks like we're starting. So first up is John Gray. So like I mentioned, he used to go to Liverpool at uni. So he trained there for a while, he competed for them, he graduated, and now he's at University of Sheffield. He's doing a master's in architecture.
So he's only jumped here 4 times, so no real home advantage for John. Interesting to see how this goes.
I'm not really sure if it's it, but he's really good. As you can tell, lovely straight shapes in the straight back, straight brani, good line out. Hitting those kickouts just shy of 12 o'clock in that tuck back. Looking really good so far. And lovely crash dive. We love it. Oh, so close yet so far.
Close.
That's gonna.
So you can see him just sort of signaling to the chair that he thought he landed on 2 feet. I don't think Lauren's buying that.
No.
So I think that is one of the hard things when you jump at that height, to control a half twist of feet.
Yes, it's pretty difficult, especially out of a crash dive. Like, we saw this in Newt 5 with a backdrop, Newt 4. It's deceptively hard. And out of a crash dive, you get so much power. This is why a lot of people just do, at higher levels might just do a ball out of it. Sometimes it's a little bit easier to just do a ball out than it is to control your landing to your feet. So that was a one-footed landing. He's only going to put in 9 moves. But don't forget, this is Uniov's competition, essentially. This is their level. They're going to take first, second, and third. This is a free 6 points for them. Obviously, he wants to do well still, but, it is what it is.
It is what it is. So, 3 competitors, and obviously points for first, second, third means the University of Sheffield will clear up this category quite happily. Next up, we've got Kate. I'll take this one. So, Kate Williams from University of Sheffield, studying medicine, and also head coach for the University Club. So, like we said before, very busy lady. Got a lot going on. So, started the inbouncing now. Just a little bit unsteady.
A little bit of nerves, yeah.
A little bit unsteady. You can stop and start again if you feel like you need to.
You can also sit down if you like.
You can get off, get back on. You can do whatever you want for that first minute to make yourself feel prepared. And the routine starts on the first move, which is here. Nice line in the straight back. A little bit under in that Barani, the shape falling apart a little bit. Onto the tuck back, tuck Barani. Wide legs, good tight pike shape though. Half twist, we'll come back to the center. Nice tuck jump, 3/4 front. Half twist to feet. So, a bit of a struggle, particularly on the second move. I think the straight back just didn't quite have the power it needed.
Yes, I agree. She's a very snappy competitor in the sense that she really pulls into those shapes really quickly, kicks out again. Fast twitch muscle is what you need for trampoline and what you want. So this is definitely good for her. And our last competitor in Newt 2 is Jamie Scott. He's actually doing a PhD in biomed. And he only started trampolining in uni. So he's been around about 4 years. But don't forget, we had the COVID year. We had the half COVID year. So he hasn't really bounced that long. But he's gotten from, an absolute beginner to a Newt 2 competitor, which is really impressive.
Yeah, really exciting to see.
So we're likely going to see the same routine. From what I could tell, everybody picked the crash dive routine, so we're not going to see any lazy backs in Newt 2 today. Hopefully we'll see a few maybe in Newt Elite or Newt 1, just to see, as well the Cody out of it.
So judges giving that score out of 10 for Kate, from the looks of it, which is good. The shapes kind of fell apart in the somersaults a little bit towards the start. But
yeah,
10
she had a
complete
solid
skills.
ending though.
Yeah,
so
10 complete skills and a solid ending.
What you want to do if you do mess up in the middle of a routine, which happens, is just try and pull it together as quickly as possible and have a strong finish. If you do one bad skill, that's not the end of the world. That's not going to drag your score down immensely. You still have 9 good moves that you can do.
Absolutely. And the maximum you can take off for each skill is capped at 0.5.
Exactly. So starts with a straight back, straight brownie, maybe a little bit piked at the hips at the start. A little bit wobbly in the straddle, gets it back in the tuck brownie. Okay, and I was going to finish tuck jump, crash dive, holds it. And that's a good landing. A little bit shaky at the start, but he pulled it together.
Yeah, you see a lot of running man in that straddle jump. I'm not sure exactly what happened to it, but in the straddle jump, there's not a lot going on, so any faults are really easy to see. That will conclude the Newt 2 competitors, actually, today. So you can hear the University of Sheffield are really proud of that competition. Really proud of that category, where they're the only ones jumping.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the chanting. It's very, it's fun for sure. So we're going to move on to Newt 1, and again we have an equal split of Hallam and Uni, which is really exciting to me because you just don't know who has like an advantage is going to take it. So we have 3 girls from Hallam and 3 from Uni. So
an all girls category as well. Is that the first all girls category? I think it is.
Perfect. So as you can see, they're now all starting to move off to the ultimate. People tend to prefer that trampoline. That extra bit of bounce might make the difference between finishing your routine well and, finishing it early.
Or on your face. That won't happen today, touch wood.
So they're going to have a quick warm-up, it looks like, for Newt 1. So this is where we start seeing some exciting moves. So we talked about the ball outs and the Codys. That was an accidental synchro. I love it when it happens. We're going to see some fuzz. So we've had a quick chat about that before. So a back somersault with a full 360-degree twist. The Rudy, so front somersault with 1.5 twist. So they're pretty difficult skills, and they tend to be worth a lot more than the likes of a tuck back or a brani.
Yeah, interesting to see. I've already seen a few people warming up. Some choosing to twist the ball out, and some choosing not to twist the ball out.
Which would you prefer?
I would 100% choose to twist the ball out.
Same.
So the ball out, the somersault off the back, you can choose to twist it or not twist it. If you twist it like a Burani, the advantage is you get to see where you're going, essentially, and you get to see your
and
landing.
the extra 0.1 added for tariff.
Yeah. So multiple advantages to twisting it. You could always choose to not twist it, but you end up with a similar landing to the front somersault landing, where it's completely blind, and it's more timing and feel.
Yes, I feel like that extra quarter really makes a difference. Like it's very hard to land a front summy ball out. I would say probably harder than just landing a front summy.
Yeah, I'd agree actually. I think, especially because your vision's so different. Obviously, on your back, you're not seeing the forwards wall, like the wall in front of you at all. We see Freya's warming up on the far bed from University of Sheffield. She's warming up a full. I've not seen her do fulls before, I don't think. Have you?
I've seen her train them, and they're definitely a move that was a little bit hit and miss for her, and now she's doing it with the mat off the trampoline. So that's how much confidence she's gotten since. So that's really good to see.
Yeah.
One thing about getting the mat up or getting the mat thrown in for a skill, it indicates kind of different levels of confidence and competence with a skill. Or people sometimes just want to be extra safe and have the mat up. So sometimes you'll see someone so-called, shadowing and making sure that they're fine, and if they need the mat thrown in at any point, if something doesn't look quite right, they're going to be safe. And some people just have a lot of confidence. They know they're going to land their routine no matter what, and that they're going to be safe, so they don't need the mat up. So it's personal preference. There is no, obligation to have one.
Yeah, worth noting though that of course if that mat does come in, it is the coach choosing to interrupt the routine. So if it comes in on the actual skills as they're doing their routine, it will count as the skill. Essentially, it counts the same as not landing that skill.
Exactly. I have shouted mat before during a routine, admittedly. So the coach does choose, but the gymnast is free to tip off the coach a little bit, give them a little hint. Yes, absolutely. And there's no deduction for that, if you're wondering.
Yeah, so coaches can't actually talk to gymnasts as they're competing, but the gymnasts can say whatever they like. Normally, it's best to keep your mouth closed and get on with the job at hand.
Just in case, but everyone's gone. Everyone's let out a little bit of a scream, or
if you want to scream externally instead of internally, you can do that.
Obviously, I feel like the judges are going to be biased if you do that, so I don't recommend doing it.
It doesn't give a good impression of poise and control and elegance.
They might be like, I thought that was a 3, but I might on a little bit more to that.
Yeah, definitely an interesting one. Although you do hear, when some gymnasts jump, you hear this sort of whistling sound.
Yes.
So when some gymnasts jump, they do this sort of they're trying to breathe out so they can breathe in really quickly, because they want to hit the trampoline with a full set of lungs. Obviously, if you try to breathe on every jump at the beginner level, you'd very quickly hyperventilate.
Yes, I agree. I've seen people breathe at a time though. They just breathe, but they wouldn't breathe at certain, at the top or the bottom of their bounce, or in sync with their somersault kickouts. They just breathe at random times.
Ah, interesting. I think we're starting, so the judges are looking pretty
perfect.
Interested.
So this is Freya from Sheffield Hallam. She's a criminology and psychology major. She starts with straight, full back, straddle jump, looking really tidy so far. Lovely, and then the back somersault, the tuck brani, tuck back. And finish cross dive, brani ball out a little long, so it's actually really hard not to travel a ball out. Crash dives themselves are a very tricky skill. The tiniest bit of lean will show straight away. So you want to be really, really upright for them. And in her case, she just dropped her legs the tiniest bit in the crash dive to get into the ball out, which means that her ball out moved a little bit. So her HD score might suffer a tiny bit from that, but her form was exquisite, and the scores are showing that.
Yeah, so if you're not seeing the scores, we want like quite high scores for that one. I think really most impressive to me was the straight back, straight brownie full. Those first 3 moves, just
Yes,
really clean
so
lines.
tidy and central.
Yeah, a straight shape sounds easy, but very often when you're somersaulting through that straight shape, you can get this sort of dish or arch where you're kind of looking like one of those plastic rulers that's got a bit of bend to it.
Yes. Okay, moving on to Uni of.
Okay, so this is Elise from Uni of Sheffield, studying psychology. She's in her 3rd year, but she's also jumped at Sheffield Trampoline Academy down the road. So beautiful straight back to start. Straight Barani, a little bit bend of the knees. Straddle, just moving forward slightly. Pike back again, a bend of the knees, but that's a good recovery. Tuck back, beautiful kick out. Tuck Barani, and to the tuck jump, nice and central towards the end. Barani ball out, getting very close to the end deck there. So a very mixed bag, some very good parts and some parts that were a little ropey perhaps.
Yes, the Brandy ball out was definitely not the highlight, but I have to say the starter routine was so nice. It has to be noted that she has represented Yorkshire at NDP qualifiers in 2017 and 2018, so she's no stranger to competitions. However, she is just back from a knee injury, so for her to be able to string together a 7 somersault routine and do it this well is massively impressive, so props to her.
Fantastic. So next up we've got Cara Harris from Sheffield Hallam.
So Cara, like John Gray, used to bounce for the University of Liverpool, and she's now doing a master at Sheffield Hallam. So good to see she's keeping up the trampolining.
Yeah, it's always good to keep up these sort of hobbies, you know?
Yeah, she's competed at this level before, so again, she's no stranger to this category.
It's always the worst when you get on and then the judges are still taking their time.
Yes, I don't get on unless the judges are ready. I'm like, the judges can wait for me, but I'm not going to wait for the judges. Because I'm the one that's like nervous. So starting with some beautiful inbouncing. That's one thing that, you know, you don't always see. She's got good feet. Here we go. Good arms. Straight back, straight Brani. Pretty central. Nice full. She's a good twister. Pike Brani, pike back just a little long. She needs to put it back in the middle. There we go. With a tuck back, tuck jump, finishes on a tuck front. That was solid for her and pretty central.
Yeah, it looked pretty good. I think she was just a little bit crooked or off square after the full.
Yeah.
So not quite facing the end deck, which will be a deduction.
For sure, you need to complete your twist, that's one thing. If the judges feel like you're landing a little bit crooked, not fully facing either one of the mats, that tells them, you know, this person hasn't finished twisting. So the idea is to finish twisting by 3 o'clock, and if not, you get a deduction for that.
I was a little bit worried towards the end there. I thought she was going to finish with the crash dive Barani ball out, and I don't think there would have been space for it.
But the tuck front is easy to gain. So gaining is when you're meant to go one way, so forwards or backwards, and you move the other way. So you're still somersaulting, say, forwards, like in Cara's case, but you can actually travel backwards doing it. So this is Freya VC.
Cool. So really consistent in bouncing just before she starts. Onto the straight back, nice lines. The Barani just a little bit loose with the legs there, but good into the straddle. Pike back, again, a tiny bit loose with the legs. Onto the pike jump, and she's travelled it over the side frame. So that pike jump, she's moved across onto the other trampoline. So obviously that would be an interruption for her. You can see her frustration a little bit.
Yeah, she's taking it well.
Yeah, you can see frustration
also,
in the body, but she's so smiley.
Yeah, she is. She's
she's such a lovely girl as well.
She is. Oh, it's so annoying that she didn't get to finish it, but she still has a smile on her face, and you know, countless opportunities to do it again. Again, these guys have about 4 comps left, so we're only halfway through the season. Truly, Freya is a chemical engineering master's student. I think it's her first season competing Newt too, so she's recently moved up. So yeah, she was looking forward to showcasing her new full. And her warm-ups look so good.
Yeah, it's always frustrating when you win the warm-ups and then you get on and things fall
Yes.
apart. It's happened to all of us, hasn't it? You get on and you do good warm-up and you're happy, but at the same time you think, is that the best I've ever done this?
Never trust a good warm-up. They're always suspicious. You're like, why am I so good right now? And then you get up and you get like a travesty of a routine. And you're like, huh, okay. Well, sometimes I feel like when you get bad warm-ups, you're like, I'm just getting the bad ones out of the way. When I do a good warm-up, I stop. I stop. I'm like, okay, we're competing the next one because
So
we're
you-
not running out of good ones.
You normally feel like you have 2 good routines in you.
3 maybe.
I don't often have one. So.
So this is Maddie Smith from Sheffield Hallam. She's a 3rd-year student. She's previously trained at SIV, if I'm not mistaken. Starts with straight stretch full, which is a pretty common and popular combination, into the tuck back brani, tuck back to seat. She likes tuck shapes, and finishes on a pike brani. Solid routine for her.
Yeah, very few deductions there. So that tuck back to seat we were talking about earlier, I think she's the only one competing this.
Yeah.
So that might be your only tuck back to seat you see all day.
That's unusual. We're finishing up with Emily Sherritt. So she used to bounce at York Artistic Sports Club, and she also went to the University of York, so that's where she did her bachelor's, and she was captain there, and she's currently vice president of Newt. So she's also had to juggle, you know, doing a master's in law at the University of Sheffield, looking after Newt League and competing. So again, busy girl.
All these multitaskers. And our fun
Teach me.
facts, on a fun facts for the men, they're all sort of like, I've played football. And then all the ladies are like running the world. It's good to see.
As they should, yes.
So, in bouncing now, getting nice and steady. So we'll see the arm set as like a tap before the skill starts. Again, with the straight back, beautiful lines. Straight back, straight body full. Again, popular combo straddle, just a little bit wonky, but good recovery into the pike back. Pike Barani traveling, just leaning forwards a tiny bit. Tuck Barani now into the tuck back. We're coming towards the end of the routine. Finishing on a pike jump. Interesting choice, but it does show good control. So, interesting choice to put your shape jump literally last.
That's a flex, I feel, to finish on a shape jump. It's like, I don't need it to split up the rest of my routine, but you only asked me to do 7 somersaults, so I'm going to put it at the end.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. So.
What an exciting category this has been.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Oftentimes you use the easier moves, like the shape jumps in the middle, to try and space out your somersaults.
Yes.
But if you can put it at the end, why not? I mean, it means you're going to get a good stop at the end of your routine, which is obviously important in securing a good execution score.
Lovely. So now we're going to move on to New Elite warm-ups. So New Elite consists of 9 somersaults. We're going to see 4 competitors from the University of Sheffield and 3 from Sheffield Hallam. So we're going to see a few national performers, I would say, perhaps even international. This is looking good. So for New Elite, we need, again, at least 9 somersaults. The minimum tariff for this is 5.5, and this is only sets, so they kind of get to pick and choose their 9 favorite somersaults and string them all together into one routine.
Yeah. If you're terrible at shape jumps and twist jumps, you might see 10 somersaults here.
Yeah. Why not? We likely will see 10 somersaults from most of these guys, I would say.
Hard to tell sometimes, honestly. Some people, if they're competing at national level, where the rule is you need every skill to be a somersault, it doesn't make sense for them to change their routine just for this one competition. So some people will go into a competitive season knowing they're going to compete on the university circuit and the British gymnastics circuit, and they'll put a routine together that fulfills the criteria of both. So oftentimes if you see students or competitors not using the shape jump, that might be one reason why. Another reason sometimes is people are just not very comfortable with their shape jumps anymore.
I agree. Sometimes shape jumps are just not as forgiving because you have like such a good flow and like good bounce from the somersaults that the one shape jumps might just throw you off. And that's why some people might just put it in at the end.
Yeah, obviously we'd expect all of these people to be able to execute good shape jumps, but it might not be the thing that they prefer or have practiced most. So we're seeing the warm-ups at the moment, starting with a half out. Now is probably a good time to talk about double somersaults and how we name them, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. So double somersaults, as you can tell by the name, it means that you flip upside down twice. They're not always doubles. We actually just saw a very good example of something that flips upside down twice, but it's not a double. So that's called a 1 in 3. So it's like putting a tuck run and a crash dive together, but in the same bounce. So doubles, what we're most likely going to see today might be some half hats, which is what you talked about. So a double front somersault with a half twist in the second somersault. Double backs, so a double tucked or piked or straight somersault. So you flip upside down twice backwards. Sounds scary. Sometimes we can put more twist in. So sometimes the twist happens in the early phase of the somersault. So you could get a somersault that has a half twist in and a half twist out. So that's normally a backward somersault.
Again, we're still looking for the same things that we look for in our beginner categories. So we're looking for tight shapes, good transitions from one shape to the straight shape. When they're showing that straight shape, we're looking for the sort of like, you know, pencil straightness, arms by the sides, not waving or flailing about, and then a good toe point in the feet as well. So everything that you sort of like looked for in the more beginner categories, we're still looking for here, but they're going to have to prioritize landing the right way up at the same time.
And welcome back. And we've got some very important officers with us today. We've got Scarlett and Sophie. How are we doing?
Yeah, good. Good to be here. It's been a good day.
Yeah, amazing. And describe your role? How do you help out with Varsity?
So I am the sports officer at Hallam. So I'm involved in all the fun stuff, all the stuff to do with students, or like the crowd stuff, and just helping to organise it really.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm the sport competitions officer, so for Sport Sheffield. So I've just been supporting Harry in organising the event, and then just coming down to show our faces and supporting the students.
And how have you found that role? Have you had fun?
Yeah, I love it. I'm just glad that we're like back playing sport. It's really good to see everyone supporting each other. At Team Hallam, we've really encouraged the teams to get along, support other clubs that they might not have done in the past, and we've really seen people come out in force.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the vibe today has just been really good. The atmosphere has been really supportive from both clubs, like clapping each other after all of the routines. So it's really lovely to see.
Amazing. And is there any events that you're looking forward to seeing yourself? Have you got any tickets for anything?
Oh yeah, I'll be at everything. Absolutely everything. I just love it. We've got obviously Sports Park next week, which is a big one. There should be a lot of people there. We've got a lot of sports on that day. Fingers crossed for the good weather, which I think we're going to get. So I'm really excited for that one.
Looking nice at the
yeah,
moment,
definitely.
Yeah, 100%. Just echo what Scarlett said, and then looking forward to ice hockey at the end after not having it for 2 years. So yeah, be really good.
And do you have any plans about celebration afterwards, after it's all done?
Oh yeah, I think we'll be celebrating well. I mean, win or lose, like I think we've created a good relationship with both units now, so I think we both support each other really well. And at the end of the day, we'd all love to win, but either way, having sport back on, we'll celebrate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So from doing Varsity as a student, sort of back in 2019 for the last time for 2 years, then coming back as a staff member, it's just been really good to help organise it behind the scenes, and obviously just see the students coming down again. It's really great.
And how have you found student engagement after so long with not having Varsity, getting students back in who may have never heard about Varsity? How's that been?
I think a lot of students at the start of the year were like, what is Varsity? We have got no idea. And it's been really difficult to sell Varsity to people that have never experienced it before. But now that it's started to happen, people are getting that team spirit. When you first start uni, you're not like competitive, you're not like Team Hallam or Uni of, but by the time you get into it and we have competition, you definitely support your colour 100%.
Yeah, I guess it's been difficult to jumpstart it, but it's been great. We've had a great turnout today as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's mainly down to our students as well. So we know the club committees have been working so hard with like their club members to promote Varsity, and I think we can see from today that that's been really successful.
Yeah. Is there anyone you'd like to shout out specifically, or anything you'd like to shout out specifically?
I think definitely the clubs today. I've never watched trampolining before, so I'm learning a lot, and I just think they're incredible. Like, they're very brave to be throwing themselves around, and they're so skillful. I don't know how they do it. Very brave.
Again, absolutely agree. And then just the students themselves coming down, organising the event themselves, getting the judges down. I think it's just they've worked so hard, and I think it does show today.
Yeah. And if we have people watching who may have not been a fresher, they may have not engaged in sports at Sheffield before, what would you say to them getting involved in sports?
I would definitely say come down and experience what Varsity is. We've obviously got loads of events on that are not ticketed, so you can get down and see free events, you can support your university, and it's a really nice feeling. Also, the ice hockey, I would say, is the best experience of my whole time at uni. So if you've never experienced before, do it, because it is amazing.
Yeah, 100%. Like, coming down here today, the atmosphere is really great, and I know that's just going to carry on for the next week and a half. So, yeah, I just encourage everyone to watch sport where you can. We haven't had it for the past 2 years. So, yeah, just come down where you can.
And if they wanted to get involved in the more technical side of things, maybe the things backstage with Varsity, how would they do that?
I'd say definitely at Hallam, and I think the same at Uni of, is sports committees, club committees. They really are integrated into the organisation of the competition. Like, it's not all about the staff. Obviously we support teams, but the committees are heavily involved.
Yeah, I would agree. It's sort of very autonomous when they're organising the event, especially with the event today. The judges themselves, like as Scarlett said, we do support them, but honestly they just take on a lot of the roles themselves, and I think that's testament to them.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much. Great having you here, and we're going to pass back to our commentators now.
I think this category, when the crashes do happen, they are dramatic, aren't they?
They can be. They can be. They always get a big gasp from the crowd.
Yeah. This is the one where everyone's watching you. Like, people who are like competing and finished, they stay to watch this. Like, people walking by on the sports hall, you know, they're here for football, and they come in randomly and they just start watching.
And the entire hall just goes silent, which is like, it's the most nerve-wracking thing. And it's the one feature about Varsity that's kind of uncommon compared to the rest of, you know, any competition ever, except for, you know, big finals, the likes of Europeans, Worlds, the Olympics, World Games, and so on. You're never really alone on the trampoline. You're not the only person bouncing, and it's so nerve-wracking when you're the only one up, and you know that everybody's watching you, and it goes so silent. You can hear everyone breathing, sneezing even sometimes.
Well, the one thing that I do like that's changed over the years since I've been competing is the introduction of background music. Like, so it used to not even have music in the background, and nowadays, even at high-level comps, there's a speaker. Oh, wow, interesting. So 1 3/4 front somersault onto the back, and you can see in the warm-ups there, that's not been able to pull a ball out off of it. That's not going to be any good for her confidence, is it, going forwards? And I think that might have been a one-touch as well. So sorry to interrupt myself there, but that was one of the things that we see sometimes. And these complex skills, you need the first one to go well if you're going to be able to follow it up with another skill.
You need to have someone trusted on the mat as well. You need to have someone that you know is going to put the mat in when you need it. And something the crowd standing around the trampoline did right there was everyone called for the mat. When you're the person on the mat, sometimes it's hard to make that decision, but everyone called for it, so that was really good to see.
It's a lot of responsibility to be matting for other people. I actually really hate it. I'd much rather coach and then just be like, nope, no mat for you. But at this level, you're coming in from such height. Essentially, that small, thin mat may not look like a lot, but it's there to sort of deaden the rebound of the trampoline a little bit. And it will make, if you're landing uncontrolled, it will make your rebound a little bit lower. So obviously, it won't save you if you're landing on your head, but it will kind of lessen the rebound for the next fall. So when we're working on new skills, oftentimes we'll get a mat that's even bigger. But these small throwing mats are a good balance of like functional, but also handleable.
Yeah, for people that are learning double somersaults for the first time, or doing triples, or intricate backward somersaults, multiple somersaults, with twists in different phases, having a big squishy mat is it can be a bit of a crutch sometimes. It's hard to get off it, but it's also so reassuring to have.
Yeah. We won't see this today, but also another safety technique is use of rigs. So those are lines that descend from the ceiling. They're kind of like bungee lines. There's no actual stretch in them. They're just hard rope. But you wear a belt or harness, normally a belt. And the ropes are handled by the coach, and they can also slow your fall. But we'd only really see the use of rigs when training brand new skills. You wouldn't ever see it used in a competition. So they're seeing the free quarterback into the Cody. Fantastic, good height. I wish his toe point would just be a little bit harder, you know? I think it can be particularly difficult if you're wearing trampoline shoes. So if you look really closely at his feet, he's wearing socks, but then over the socks he's wearing specialist trampoline shoes. They sort of provide a tougher surface for the sole of your foot when you jump, but the drawback is sometimes, and I'm not saying it's definitely the shoes, but sometimes you can find it harder to point your feet in trampoline shoes than in just socks alone. But as a gymnast, you can choose if you want shoes or not.
I get what you're saying, yeah, absolutely. He's got very good tension. Like, he's himself and Josh are both very tall, which again has its advantages and disadvantages. They both have extremely good tension though. So both competitors from Hallam, and up we have Dara from Hallam as well.
Is everyone in this category wearing shoes? I'm going to start looking at shoes now. I feel like while we're still walking through warm-ups and stuff, it's one of the things that I'm just going to sort of fixate on for a little bit. Did you wear shoes when you jumped?
I did, and I still do. I honestly, if I go a while without them, I'm fine. And if I have them and then I take them off, I hate it. The trampoline also is really sharp. Like, newer trampolines especially really cut your feet. Like, it hurts.
Yeah.
But they also provide that little bit of extra support, and they're a little bit more forgiving if you go a little bit maybe on your heels or your toes. Like, if you land a somersault a bit short. They're good for linking. They definitely give you a little bit of help. They don't make a massive difference now, but a lot of people would rather have them than not.
Yeah. I see a lot of people wearing socks and shoes. Interestingly, when I used shoes, I had a phase. I tried them out for 6 months when I was maybe 14. And I was like, I'm going to try using shoes. And I wore shoes without socks, which was what everyone was doing at the time. You wore trampoline shoes over bare feet. Kind of like DMT.
Right. I hate the feel of that, so I've never done that.
Yeah, they do feel like they get sweaty quite fast. Sorry if you're watching this during your lunch break and you're eating lunch right now. But yeah, they do feel a bit sweaty, but it does feel like you get a better contact with the trampoline as well. But like I said, I went off shoes eventually. So.
Oh, so you don't wear them now?
I don't wear them at all, no.
Interesting. There you go.
Also, it's just another thing to remember to bring to a comp. Socks I remember because I'm wearing socks anyway, but shoes, I'm a very forgetful, disorganized, cluttered person. So having an extra thing to remember when I'm already stressed out about competing is not good for me. So with absolutely no bias from the Sheffield Hallam graduate I'm sat with, who do we think are favourites to win based on this warm-up that we've seen so far?
It's going to be a tough one between Holly Peach and Josh Jones, I would say. They both have very good form. Josh has the height for it, and he's an international performer, so he knows how to handle the pressure. He's been trusted with international assignments. But I believe she's leading in the new competition, so she's one to watch out for sure.
There's a very impartial answer there.
Yeah, I do believe they're,
you don't want to place bets?
Oh, God, it's not my job today, is it?
No, I think betting is a bit of a fool's game when it comes to trampolining, because one small mistake and
yes.
You're off. So as much as you said, if you do a bad move, you can continue. At this height, a small deviation or a little bit of lean results in much greater travel distance. So if you imagine leaning a little bit forwards, that can cause you to jump forwards. Now, obviously, the higher you jump, the further forwards you're going to fall. So it's really about sort of precision of technique in these when you start jumping at these sort of heights. And from up there, the trampoline looks a lot smaller.
It really does.
Not that either of us jump quite as high as this person. So we're seeing really strong kickouts, really good lines. Everything technical is really good. The only thing I'd say in that routine is it's a little bit, it got a little bit stuck towards one end. So the horizontal displacement score will be a bit deducted there.
Very true. But yeah, we've seen them really hold their lines. One thing to keep in mind with these guys, though, is the uncertainty of whether or not they're going to make those 10 moves is a lot higher. There's so much more going on, and like you said, you know, the tiniest little mistake and you're off.
Oftentimes it'll be the transition from a double somersault to a single somersault that does it, especially straight backs. But coming in from a double somersault, you've obviously got a lot of momentum, a lot of angular momentum, a lot of spin that you've had to generate. You kick out and you try and slow down towards the landing, but even then, it's a tricky thing to go from doubles to singles. I think that's actually harder than going from doubles to doubles.
That makes a lot of sense. It's kind of like what we were saying earlier about somersaults and non-somersaults. You know, it's a different rhythm. It's different depression of the bed. You have to put in, you know, different amounts of power. So I can see how that would do it.
So we're still warming up at the moment, but I think we're getting ready to start soon. I can see we've got all the judges sat down. That's normally a good sign.
Yes.
I don't know exactly when one touch will be, or even if we're on one touch already.
One thing that you want to avoid during warm-ups is doing too much. You don't want to do too many routines. You don't want to. Some people just get up and do moves 1 and 2, or do like a part of the routine that they want to warm up. But overdoing it is definitely not a good way to go about it. Some people like to get at least a couple of routines under their belt before they start, but you want to, you know, be nice and fresh for the competition. Of course, today there's the added element that they only have to perform one routine, and it's significantly easier than the second one that they normally perform. I think we're going to see doubles from everybody in this category, or at least 1 and 3s. I've seen a few half outs. I've seen a few double backs. Pretty much everyone's doing 1 and 3s.
Yeah, it's good to see. Good to see. I think it's a very even field, actually, having watched everyone warm up at least a few times now. I'm surprised people are still getting on and getting through whole routines.
Yeah, I don't know how they have it in them, to be honest with you. I would be exhausted by now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, I think my rule was always, I want to get through one good one. If I get through one good one, I can stop.
Sometimes what it takes to get to that one good one might just take it out of you altogether.
Oh, yeah. But then if you say, for example, if you get through one good routine and then stop, but then everyone else keeps going and the warm-ups keep going and it's like 10, 15 minutes.
And you cool down,
You don't want to get cold, do you?
Yes, exactly.
So
no, I totally get it.
It's tricky to balance sometimes because you want to do enough to feel confident, but not enough to feel tired. And then you don't want to stop too early because otherwise then you're getting cold.
Yeah.
So
you never know how many goes it's going to take you. I suppose if you feel like you're starting to get cold, you could get up and just do like a couple of moves and then get down. Some back bouncing is always good to keep the core nice and warm. So what is the most important muscle in trampolining? What do you think?
Most important muscle in trampoline?
Yes. Or muscle group.
Muscle group. Oh, God. Really testing my anatomy knowledge here. I'd say maybe like, I don't know, the gastrocnemius, the calf muscles.
Interesting.
Because I think, yeah, you need a lot of spin. You need a lot of rotation for some of the skills. And most of that rotation should be generated through the ankle joint.
Yes.
So I'd say calf muscle. But, I mean, I can't imagine jumping without some of my other muscles either. What would your answer be?
I would say probably your core muscles are very important to keep your spine protected. And also, if you have strong core, you know, you can hit all of your lines well. But most importantly, in terms of a safety thing, if I wanted someone that I can definitely get on the trampoline, you know, risk-free, I'd want him to have a decent core.
Yeah.
And neck muscles is a big one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think also this sport puts a lot of emphasis on the hip flexors as well.
Yes.
So if you're just watching this at home and you're not sure what a hip flexor is, if you reach your hands into your pockets, if you're hopefully wearing pockets, so if you put your hands where your pockets are in trousers, then those muscles connecting the top of your legs to the bottom of your pelvis are your hip flexors. And if you scrunch up into a ball, you can rely on abdominal muscles. But if you try to fold into the pike shape, raising the legs up, but without bending the knees, it really isolates the hip flexors.
Yes.
And means you're not using your abdominal muscles as well. So people come from other sports with really strong abs, but they don't have the hip flexor strength to do the piked shapes. So that's something that you'll have to condition sort of like separately? You have to
Yeah.
like specific work for hip flexors.
They get so sore after certain sessions. So, for sure.
How many V-sits can you do?
God, I haven't done them in a while. I've moved on from like gymnastic style conditioning to like Pilates, like reformer Pilates. A lot of physios recommend it, so I feel like, and I see a lot of high-level trampolinists, so like the likes of Jason Burnett and everyone at Skyriders, they have the physio machines in the gym, and they have a Pilates instructor that comes in every so often and does Pilates sessions with them. So it obviously works their core, obviously their legs, their upper body. It focuses on breathing a lot, and there's a good element of flexibility. So it combines all the important things about trampolining.
Yeah, it definitely prepares you well for the sport, doesn't it? I can't remember the last time I did a V-sit or a pike sit. It's been a long time. It's a very sport-specific thing. I guess only really gymnastics, trampoline, diving have that sort of artistic element where you have to bring your leg up while keeping it fully straight at the knee joint. So I'm sure there's a few other sports I've not listed, maybe like figure skating or something.
I would really have to think about it. But yeah, I'd say there is definitely a few.
Okay, so let's go the other way now. So what is the least important muscle in
That
trampoline?
is so hard. I'm going to say your biceps.
I was going to say biceps.
Excellent, I'm glad we're aligned. Because your shoulders, you're obviously compared to gymnasts, right? Trampolinists definitely don't have as much of an upper body, but your back, your shoulders are still pretty important. I would say your triceps are also pretty much there. You know what I mean? They're not like also as important. But I'd say your biceps are probably the most useless. I can't really think of a way of using them. Your triceps at least straighten out your arms fully.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't really see a use for biceps in trampolining.
I mean, I guess pulling into a tuck shape, but even then you're relying on a lot of core strength to pull the tuck. If you're relying on your arms to pull your knees into the tuck,
something's wrong.
Yeah, your technique's a little bit shaky there. Obviously, you want to squeeze the tuck shape as you're going around, but it's not like you can even start by grabbing your legs to pull them in. You have to initiate that from sort of the hips and from the abdominal muscles.
Absolutely. So we should be starting any time now. I'm not sure how these guys are still bouncing.
They have so much more endurance
I'm tired
than
just
us.
looking at them. Yeah, that's why they're up there and we're here.
Yeah. I mean, tiny fact that I don't study at Sheffield, so I wouldn't be eligible for a varsity.
Yeah.
Not that I'd want to compete this group. This looks like a tough group. A lot of people doing really, really good work, especially judged on form. Like, I feel like that's more pressure than just being judged on everything.
Yeah, I think when you pull, like when you're pushing for form, you really want to get every single part of your routine down to perfection, and that's what gets in the way of you finishing the routine sometimes.
Yeah. So sometimes what we see is like people line out and then be too stubborn. Like they hold a straight line that's beautiful, but then you're not prepared for the landing. Like you needed to pike that down and you didn't.
So we were saying earlier, you should be holding your straight lines until 3 o'clock. So until 3/4 of your somersault is done. But you should, by all means, pike down for the last quarter to be in an optimal position to take off for the next skill. So because of that, if you're a little bit long in a somersault, if you still have a little bit of power left, people end up holding on a little extra, to try and save it, or they bring their arms up a little bit sooner. Again, that's not optimal. It's not ideal, but sometimes these little fixes that these athletes make in the air, they're split-second decisions and can make the difference between, doing the next skill on the trampoline or hitting the end deck.
Or the floor. Touch wood. Okay, so we're starting here. This will be Holly from University of Sheffield. She's studying speech and language therapy. National League champion, and she's come first in teams before, so high expectations. Starting with the half-out tuck into the straight back. Beautiful shapes already. Straight Barani, looking good. Just edging out of the centre box. The pike back again, going a little bit long, but these beautiful moves, just not quite as central as you would like. 1 and 3, fantastic kick out. Barani ball out. Brilliant. Looking for a controlled stop, and you can hear she knows that was a good routine.
So, just like Emily, she's from York Artistic Sports Club. I would say that was better than any of her warm-ups.
Yeah.
Like, she really came through for, like, the warm-ups were good, but, like, putting a routine together and competing it at a level that, you know, is better than your warm-ups or better than the way you train is extremely difficult.
Yeah, I was really impressed by that, actually, you know. Like, the start was really good.
So solid. She should be happy with that, and she is.
Yeah, you can
As
see.
she should be.
Like, the lineouts are all pretty much there. The only thing was a tiny bit of a deviation from the centre. It's hard not to commentate like a judge.
Yes, so true. So next we have Dara McMorrow up. She's in 4th year biology at Sheffield Hallam, previously from Lincoln Imms. She won Varsity on Newt 2 in her first year. Starts with a crash dive, Branny ball out, really central. Slightly out of the 0 box. And then tuck back, tuck Branny. Really solid so far. Good kick out on the pike Branny. Really nice shape in the straight back, straight Branny full. Easy routine for her. She made it look easy.
Yeah.
Again, nitpicking a little bit. Maybe the kick out in the pike back. Pike back is such a basic skill, and yet it is so hard to do
It's so
perfectly.
much work.
Like, it's so difficult to get a 0 deduction in a pike back because it's such a technically hard skill, even though it's not worth that much.
Yeah, so it's only worth 0.6 in tariff, but you need top tier flexibility, you need strength in the hip flexors, you need good timing, and you need to combine all of that into a move that lasts less than a second and a half maybe.
Yeah, I would say so. So a good routine for her. This is her first varsity since her first year, during which she won Newt 2. So it's nice to see her, you know, compete in Newt 1 at the end of her college career. Next up is Annie Henderson from Uni of Sheffield.
Great, so this is Annie Henderson. She's actually studying medicine. She's in her 4th year, so we'll hopefully see her again next year. Preparing, you can hear. She's taking a countdown cue from the coach, which is allowed, as long as the coach doesn't talk to her during the routine. Starting with a half out, looking really good, nice and central. She'll be glad to through the difficult part of the routine. Straddle jump just to break it up a little bit, a tiny bit wavy with the arms. Into the Baranis and the back somersaults now, looking really good, looking much more confident. 1 and 3, fantastic end. And then the Barani ball out just to top it off. Brilliant routine.
Strong routine from Annie, definitely a strong routine.
Yeah. I think that's one of the examples where sometimes going from somersaults to shape jumps can be quite tricky. You can see she was just a little bit off vertical in the straddle jump.
Yes.
Causing this to lean forwards. You've got to really use your core muscles to pull yourself back into like a vertical position. But she'll be happy with that.
So next up we have Kareem from Sheffield Hallam. He is a computer science student in his first year, previously from Elevate. A fun fact about him is that he's broken over 23 bones, but after the 23rd he kind of lost track. So
does he actually mean literally 23 bones?
You know what? I'm gonna go up to him and ask later. I'm very curious.
I'm not sure if that's hyperbole. Like, perhaps.
Maybe.
Hopefully. I hope it is.
I hope it's mostly fingers and toes. So he starts his routine with 3/4 back straight into Cody tucked, straight Branny, followed by straight back. Really good shape so far. Pike Branny maybe a little shallow. Pike back a little bit better. Tuck Branny travels a little, needs to save it. Needs to gain a little bit. Okay, tuck back, half out tucked into the double back, and he flies off onto the end deck, unfortunately.
Unfortunate termination to that routine. So he can get scored out of 10 with a whole mark off, because he did finish his 10th move on the trampoline. You could actually hear in the room that little bit of a spring sound as he gets a little bit close to the side of the trampoline. I think we were a little bit nervous with the height they're jumping at. That could have easily turned on from blue end deck to yellow floor mat.
Yes, absolutely. He just got a little bit stuck in that corner. His tuck Branny was not ideal. And then he was likely trying to gain the tuck back into the middle, but he couldn't, so he had to do the half out there, and you could see the takeoff for the double back was pretty compromised. He wasn't maximizing his use of the bed, he wasn't lifting nicely, he had to do it a little bit quick off the bed, and that caused him to travel so far back. Good stick though.
Good stick, yep, stoy. So
Next up we have Holly Peach from Uni of Sheffield, second-year medicine student, originally from Leeds Rebound.
We've got pretty much a whole A&E department here in terms of students.
Oh boy.
If anyone falls off, we
Well,
know who
we're
to go
sorted.
to. Okay, so Holly just getting ready for her routine now. Seeing, just getting comfortable. Want to find a good timing to start. There's the arm set. 1 3/4 front start. Fantastic into the brownie ball out. Nice and high, maintaining good form throughout the single somersaults. Using that straddle really well just to maintain. Into pipe back, pipe brownie. Straight back, beautiful lines. Straight brownie, just a tiny bit dished, but then double tuck with a beautiful kick out at 12 o'clock.
Love the double tuck.
Yeah. Really well controlled routine. I think particularly the first half, I really like the start for that routine. And that final move as well was brilliant. Just the straight brownie, a tiny bit dished,
Yes.
but then coming off that straight brownie, she gets a wonderful double back.
Sometimes it's almost worth doing a straight brownie that's going to give you a good double back, then do a perfect straight brownie and have the double back go flying back.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a smart decision on her behalf.
Yeah.
So really clean performance from Uni of so far. So I would have thought they would have been nearly tied at this point, but I have to say their first two competitors did better than Hallam's first two. So, you know, this could be a Uni win. So Hallam won in 2018 and 2019, and previously Uni had won 5 or 6 years in a row. So next up we have Josh Jones studying digital marketing at Sheffield Hallam. He trains at Sheffield Performance Trampoline Club. Previously competed at English and British. Starts with crash dive, brownie ball out tucked into a nice straight back. Good with the straight brownie full. Good combination. Pike back, really explosive. Lovely kick out. Into the tuck brownie, tuck back. Finishes on half out tuck, excellent kick out, and a nice lifted double back. Solid routine for him. Excellent. Sometimes it's the bounce that they need to kill that can be a little bit nerve-wracking for them. Some people slip up, but he did so well.
I'm looking at our cheat sheet. I don't know what I prefer, the fact that he's been a British medalist or the fact that he's related to the guy who invented malt loaf.
I'm going to go with the latter.
That's so wild to
And
me.
he's also competed for Great Britain and medal for England. So
I want to hear
again,
more about malt loaf.
I would say so far this might just be the strongest performance we've had in this category.
Yes, I would agree. So we've got one final competitor.
Yeah, this is the last one of the day.
So this is Morgan from University of Sheffield, studying biomedicine, and has jumped before at Max Force and completed in the 2019 NDP National Champion.
Photographer choosing a poor spot.
1 3/4 front pike into the single somersaults now, nice and level. Again, using that straddle just to maintain the routine. Pike back just a little bit short. Pike Barani's looking better. Straight back having to pull down into a tuck shape. And the straight Barani also pulling into a tuck shape. So those moves 8 and 9, were supposed to be straight the whole way around, I think. But you can see he's not quite set off with the right amount of rotation. So really strong start towards the end. I think just a little bit underpowered. If you don't push hard enough into the start of the routine, it can be very difficult to make that whole somersault complete without altering your shape or pulling it into a sort of a deeper tuck shape. So scores are coming in. I don't know when we're allowed to tell you what the scores are.
But yeah, same. Oh, there might be a little delay or some issues with the scores, so we're just not going to spoil any of the fun. This has been really fun, so I guess perfect. So we're on to group photos.
You
now,
might want to take your volume down for just 2 seconds while I shout at the captain. Annie, when do we get scores? Okay, we're going to leave it there for you guys.
So when they do the interview, I'll grab you two, you come in here with us, you can watch it on the carry on filling for now. And as I say, I'll come and grab you when they start commentating.
Okay, so in the true spirit of Varsity, both yous are taking a group photo together, which is always nice to see. So this is pretty much the end of the routines and the competition side of things. So we're soon to find out what the awards are. So who won Varsity ultimately?
Yeah, so just a quick recap if you've forgotten how the scoring system works. We have 7 categories, and for each category you get 3 points for a gold medal, 2 points for a silver medal, and 1 point for a bronze medal in each category. Those points are added together for a sum total, and the university with the higher total will win Varsity overall. So it doesn't matter if you won your comp by a lot or a little. It's all about the rankings of the trampolinists.
Yes, and let's not forget that each competition counts towards the whole varsity competition between the 2 universities. So trampoline is a small piece of the puzzle compared to like all the uni sports that are happening over the next week and a half, couple of weeks or so. So a point will go to either the University of Sheffield or Sheffield Hallam once this competition is over. But we're looking forward to see what the outcome is.
It's nice to see them mixing for the other group photo.
Yes, what I don't like is the amount of people on the springs of the trampolines. It makes me shiver a little bit.
After seeing that end deck collapse first thing this morning, I am getting a tiny bit concerned.
Same.
Maybe keep watching if you're watching online.
For sure. So we'll tune back in after the interviews to take a look at the awards ceremony and find out who won. Okay, that's it from us.
Yeah,
we'll catch you back in a little bit.
Yeah. So if you want to just hold on, we've got some interviews down on the floor with, I think, the captains of the respective universities. We will let you go down to them in just a second. I think we're handing over now.
Hi, and we're back with a member of the Hallam team. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Josh Jones.
And how did you think today went for you?
Yeah, really well. Came in quite positively. I think everyone at Hallam's done incredibly well today. Happy with my own performance. So yeah, could be happier.
Yeah, and you're happy with your team?
Yeah, so happy. I think the team did really well. Everyone's so supportive. It's been fantastic over all the competitions this year, and it's nice to come to Varsity, friendly competition. No, it's been really fantastic.
Yeah, and is this your first Varsity?
It is actually, yeah, first Varsity this
How
year.
are you finding it?
Enjoying it. I didn't realise, I knew it was going to be competitive, but I didn't realise it was going to be this competitive. So yeah, it's fun. It's good to have friendly competition, good rivalry. So fingers crossed we come out on top. So yeah, definitely.
And have you got any plans for later? Are you doing anything to celebrate?
Yeah, I think the plans to go out after, and then go to Bar One, I think, and then hit West Street as well. So of course, big up West Street.
Amazing.
Of course, so yeah, definitely.
Yeah, what's your favourite on West Street?
West Street Live. I've got about West Street.
Oh.
I know. Well, I'm an
questionable choices in the studio. And if you were to give a shout out to anyone, or would you like to say anything?
Yeah, I don't know if he's watching. Big up to Ralph Habgood. He should be here today, but he's working. So big up to Ralph.
Big up to Ralph.
Thank you. Perfect.
Yeah. And if anyone wants to get involved with the sport and they don't know how, they've watched today, they've enjoyed it, how would you suggest getting
of course,
involved?
yeah. I think trampoline can start any age. It's the beauty of it, and there's so many different levels you can compete at Newt and Varsity. So we'll try and contact one of the Hallam team members or join the Facebook group. and then we'll get you accepted and then message people through there. But our captain's Dara, she's over there, so look for Dara as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, cheers.
Thank you. Right now.
second place we have John Gray from Sheffield. And in first place we have Kate Williams from Sheffield. Moving on to Newt 1. So in third place is Emily Sherritt from Sheffield. In second place is Maddie Smith from Hallam. And in first place is Freya from Hallam. Sorry, we're just trying to spell your name. Okay, and then moving on to Newt Elite then. In third place is Holly Willoughby from Sheffield. In second place is Holly Peach from Sheffield. And in first place is Josh Jones from Hallam. Okay, do I announce the overalls now, Annie? Okay, so overall, I don't know, do I just say who's in first place? Okay, I don't know. Okay, so in second place with 18 points is Sheffield. In first place with 24 points are Hallam. Well done, Hallam. Just give us a moment and then we'll get your certificate.
Is that just introducing them first, or like do them? Okay. And then.
I think we're doing it one at a time. It's fine. Is there anything?
Dara, and then Anna. Annie. Am I following, or what's happening? They don't tell me anything. And we're back with the Sheffield Hallam captain, Dara. How you feeling?
Amazing. It was such a good competition. We've all had so much fun, and obviously we've come back with a win, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So happy. But, yeah, come on.
How are you going to celebrate tonight?
Well, we're going to Revs now for dinner, and then we're going out
Yeah.
and enjoying ourselves and really celebrating the win, I hope.
Yeah, you've earned it.
Thank
yeah.
you.
And have you got any other plans for Varsity? Are you going to go see anything? Got any tickets for anything?
Yeah, well, at Varsity ice hockey final for, it'll be a massive event. Everyone's going. It'll be really good. Always a good vibe. Atmosphere's amazing. So we're going to be going there.
Amazing. And everyone, or your team did a great job today. How are you feeling?
Yes, amazing. So proud of everyone. They all did so good. And just so proud that we did so well. Everyone's done amazing. Can't have asked for any more.
And if you were to say to someone who had maybe seen today's live stream and wanted to get involved with the sport, where would you send them to? How would they get involved?
I just say give it a go. Message us on Instagram if you're at Hallam, if you want to have a go with us. And we'll get back to you. But seriously, if you've never done it before, just give it a go. It's so much fun, open to everyone. Everyone's welcome.
And would you like to give a shout out to anyone, or would you like to say anything?
Just shout out to everyone on Hallam and the team, and UniOv have been amazing organising everything. So proud, so grateful. It's been a great week. And okay. I think
amazing.
That's everything.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Annie?
Yes.
Is it? Yes. And how did you find today? How has it been for you?
Today was really fun. We had an excellent team spirit, and that's what we came here to do. We just came to have fun and have a nice time and support each other, and I think that we managed to do that. So.
Yeah. And how are you going to celebrate your performance today?
We're all going to go to Bar 1 now and have some burgers and a drink and celebrate everyone's achievements.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
Yeah. Are you hungry? Like, work up a hunger for that?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for my Bar 1 burger.
Oh yeah, very good. Get the lattice fries.
Yes.
They're the best ones. And what would you say to someone who wanted to get involved with the sport? Maybe they've seen the live stream and they don't know where to start with it.
That they can definitely come along. Trampolining, while it looks that you have to have done it for ages, you don't have, as long as you can jump up and down, you can get on a trampoline. All of our sessions are for beginners. We train on a Thursday and a Sunday, so we have new people that come along every week, and it's a lot of fun. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you were to give out a shout out to anyone in particular, who would you want to shout out?
Just my entire club. I think everyone did amazingly today, and I love you all.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that was all from us. So thank you for tuning in, and have a great day.